So the GM and a player got in a heated debate over how Rogue is literally unplayable now. So session got canceled. Welcome back. We returned. We're doing another, as you can see by the title, unless of course I title it something really cryptic. We're doing another one D&D's Nuts playtest review.
I actually did not expect that.
I'm glad it's sticking.
I say review. It's not a review. I guess I should say impressions. Review implies a certain professional level, which we do not have. But anyway, Matt's here.
No, he don't.
I'm here.
Isaiah is also here. Shut up.
Was Goody in the hoodie?
Jesus Christ. just can't hold it in, huh?
No, I can't. I'm playing too much Cyberpunk. Too good.
So the next packet for the 1D&D plays test is dropped. This one with a focus on what they are calling the expert classes, which is one of the new things that they've rolled out. As of recording, this packet dropped September 29th.
It's been like almost
not even a week.
Yeah.
For us.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as per usual, if in a week everything we say is touted as irrelevant, then don't come at me.
Well,
there is another companion video with this one on the D&D Beyond YouTube channel. That is Jeremy Crawford and the other guy, Todd Kendrick. That's his name.
The other guy. There goes our sponsorship.
I couldn't remember his name. I was like, I can picture the dude with the glasses, but I could not think of his name. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there are some. They made like 3 or 4 rather than one big long video. They chopped it up into like 3 or 4 20-minute videos. I would say the videos are less required watching this time. I might reference them a bit, but they weren't as. Crawford didn't have any big insights like he did with the first video about like the critical hits and all that shit. So if you're curious, they're not quite as vital this time around. And then last order of business, this is going to be a 2-parter because this document long as fuck.
Yeah, thick boy.
It's a thick boy. And because most of it is the classes to start with, which obviously is one of the most important mechanical designs of D&D, of D&D. Yeah. So, we're going to probably spend quite a bit of time on the classes and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is going to be our first 2-parter. Yay! Clap, clap, clap. Unless, of course, you don't like 2-parters, then no clap. Bad.
As long as we just don't pull a Matt pad and be like, every video now, every time, every single podcast is a 2-parter. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta leave you with a cliffhanger.
I promise nothing. But anyway, so yeah, this will be a little 2-parter. So unless we work at absolute Mach speed, we're probably just talking about the classes for this episode. Unless we really just blow through them, and then maybe we talk about the feats, but most likely not. Anyway, I guess is there any hard or firm violent statements you need to make right out the gate before we get into it, you two? Anything you just need to get off your chest?
So here's the thing. Teacher, I misread the homework assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And I did most of my looking into the classes because that's the bit that I gave her shit about.
Wow, he can't even. You mean the feats?
Yeah.
You just said classes.
Bruh, it's been a long day. Leave me alone. I almost just lost use of one of my legs today. All right, leave me alone.
Wait, whoa, what?
Yeah, remember 2 years ago when my knee just started giving out?
Yeah.
So it started again today, and my manager was like, "Bro, is this shit happening again?" And not in a mean way, but he just Jesus fucking Christ. And I was like, "Yeah, no, I think it is." And he's like, "Well, now you get that good old workers comp." And I was like, "Hey, but yeah, I did most of my looking at the feats, so I'm gonna be coattailing this conversation a little bit. I did look into the classes a little bit. I didn't not look into them, but I did a lot of skimming for the most part.
All right, my point still stands. Do you have any strong words?
Thief, cool.
All right. Well, that's okay. Sure. Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are a lot of good changes in here. There are a couple things that are
strong words, Matt. Vitriol.
Yeah, strong words.
Spit it.
No. Yeah. There's a couple of things in here giving me some red flags. One of them is that everything is going to be a feat, and we will talk about that later. But some of these
I think that's actually a good idea.
We can go over that later, but some of these big thing Ranger, very good Ranger. I'm very happy with.
I don't know about that one.
No,
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, good. A lot of mixed. And eventually, when we do get to the feats, I don't know, Isaiah. Me and you might have, I don't know, words, because again, I am looking at some of these feats and I'm like, yes, I like it. Excellent. And then some of these I'm like, God damn it, Wizards. Jeremy, why do you hate me?
Yeah, so what I will say, some vitriol, yeah. So as we said during the Ranger episode, I really like Hunter Ranger. I know it's not great the way it is, but I really liked it. They took all your options away.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Like all of them.
That is something Jeremy Crawford talked about in the video.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
He did, yes. We'll get there.
Yeah. Anywho, but
that's my vitriol. Why did you take all my options away? What the fuck?
There is a reason. It wasn't a
streamline.
It wasn't a completely vapid decision.
Just make it simpler.
It's actually not. It's actually not, Matt. It's actually not to simplify it.
We're taking away all the dice. You're just going to roll a D3 from now on.
Just to very briefly, basically, I'm ignoring everything Matt's saying because he's a twat. Anyway, basically, the reason they did that with Hunter Ranger is because they had all of these choices in the original version of the Hunter Ranger, and there was just the obvious good pick for each of the levels.
Slayer.
Like Colossus Slayer. So they basically just got rid of the shitty ones and just focused on keeping the good ones that everyone picked all the time anyway.
Like Colossus Slayer. They actually put that back in here.
Slayer, I guess. Okay, my thing with that is, right?
Bro, I wasn't finished.
I thought you were done.
I was not finished. However, yes, because I think this is probably what you're about to say anyway. That's not necessarily a good method of game design, which is to say something is bad, just remove it. That's not always the best answer, but it is an answer they seem to be taking in a couple of places. So I understand your frustration in that the choices are gone. I do also get why they did it. And then on top of that, I feel like having a subclass with a bunch of choices, I feel like you don't want to be your player handbook stuff. I feel like that should be like your Xanathars or your Tasha's type shit. So I could also see them kind of moving that somewhere else, potentially. Not saying they will, but they could.
Okay, here's my... All right, ready for a counter? Battlemaster.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what Battlemaster looks like yet, so we can't say anything about Battlemaster yet.
Okay, but like, if they remove Battlemaster's options, that's just kind of inane. Like...
they could
took the Battlemaster out of my Battlemaster.
They could remove Battlemaster is kind of where my brain is going, and doing what we've said before, which is give all the fighters maneuvers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, I thought about it more, and as far as the Battlemaster thing is gone, I've kind of shifted over, not necessarily to Matt's side, but I'm seeing Matt's side a little more, where it's like you can keep Battlemaster, just make it even better, right?
I think there's equal argument in both directions is the thing. So it's not really a simple, this is the best route or this is the best route. I think both sides have a valid point in that whole situation, and the designers are just going to go with whichever side they feel like makes more sense for them personally.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, before I was like, Matt, there's no point, but now I'm like, no, I kind of see where Matt's coming from.
No, I see where the other side's coming from. I don't agree, but I see what the argument is. If you want to hear that discussion get teased out more, go watch the fighter episode. But anyway, that's actually...
I was going to ask a question. I was going to say, did they explain why they only did one subclass for each?
Because it's playtest and they didn't want to overwhelm, I assume. I don't think they said specifically, but like, they're still designing quite a lot. I'm sure they probably don't have a lot of the subclasses designed yet.
they're probably still working on. Yeah,
would
whatever.
imagine they're working on a
Bard's
lot
gonna
of
have
them.
2 subclasses, or if they're gonna have 3. Because
So
I think in the player's handbook it was just the 2.
in the player's handbook right now, we have 41 subclasses, and they did say we are going to get 48 in 1 D&D.
Right. Which
So
I'm
we're getting
wondering if
potentially 7 more subclasses.
right, and I'm wondering if some of those are going to be for Artificer, or if they're
No.
taking.
Artificer is not showing up in any way because this is only for the player's handbook, and Artificer's not in that.
It's also
That-
worth mentioning that they like because Artificer came out in Tasha's, it's kind of more in line with what 1 D&D is probably going to be anyway.
It's definitely closer, yeah. I mean, you
Like,
could kind of see it in like the armor artificer and the battlemaster artificer. So, or the battle, whatever the one with the pet,
Battlesmith.
the battlesmith, that one, the pet one.
That being said, based on what the systems they have now, where like epic boons are just going to become commonplace, they're going to have to do probably some tweaking at
I
some
mean,
point.
Commonplace
sometime.
Commonplace is a strong word. You still got to get to level 20.
Well, like they're official things now. They're not just like,
Yes,
oh, well, if
they're
you want,
officially-
like
they're not-
they're fully codified.
They're
Yeah,
not.
like every
which is what
class
I
is
was
getting
saying from the beginning.
like every class is getting subclass features at the same level. They're getting the epic boons at the same level. A lot of them are getting feats at the same level. So they're trying to make all of the, class leveling leveling guides like basically the same.
All right. Let's
We're jumping around a little
jumping
bit.
around way too much now.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question.
Huh?
I have a. This isn't necessarily related to the playtest so much as this thought spawned from the playtest stuff. I've heard the statement that D&D 5e, as it were, has a bit of an identity crisis in that 5e cannot decide if it wants to be a tactical game with a story problem or a story game with a tactical problem. And a lot of people feel like with this 1 D&D stuff, they're going a lot gamier and sort of shifting, not all the way, but sort of in the direction of what 4E was. And I'm just curious, for you guys, do you want your D&D to be the gamier tabletop game? Or do you want it to be a story game? Because personally, as someone who plays lots of different tabletop systems, I want D&D to be the gamier, little bit crunchier, little more tactical board map style thing. Because A, I feel like that's D&D's roots. And B, if I want like fluffy story chutzpah and such, I'll play other systems because I think they do it better. So like, I'm just curious, do you want your D&D to be a tactical board game with a story problem or a story game with a tactical board game problem? Where do you fall?
So the answer I want to give is a good mix of both, but I know that's not the question. So
Well, it's also kind of impossible. That's why it's not the question. Because some games have tried to be a good mix of both, and you always end up on one side. Like, you always end up a little bit more on one side or the other by necessity, because if you want to design a good game, you have to design with a focused goal. So you always kind of have to end up in one spot or the other.
okay, so I'll say I want a game that focuses more on gameplay. Asterisk, that gameplay can include toolkits and like actual advice for running a good story,
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's
building
fine.
villains, coming up with character motivations.
That's not what I mean by that is like, it's not that D&D can't have like a story element, like obviously it's going to have that aspect. What that question sort of posits is like the way the book talks about how you run the game, how many encounters, how often do powers get used, how frequent should something happen, whether it's more on the gamey side. So like, to give you a good example, right, D&D does every, like, ability durations are, 1 hour, 1 day, 10 minutes, whatever, etc. In games that have more of a story bent to them, right, that are more focused on this, like, we're building this narrative and we're not worried so much about the board gamey side of things, the duration of an ability in a lot of games will often say one scene or one session. So it's kind of like you have to decide which direction to focus on, because if you try and do both, you get into a muddy like design space. But it's not saying that you can't have like a good story in D&D. That's not being a more board gamey, being a game with a story problem is not like, does not disqualify you from having a sort of epic fucking Lord of the Rings Hamlet adventure in your D&D game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It's just
what
about where do you want the design to focus? You know? Yeah,
no, I get what you're saying, but it's like, I want the design to focus more on gameplay, you know, again, asterisk, in a way that can support running homebrew games outside of just combat.
I mean, I think that's all. I don't think that's going anywhere.
Well, insofar as there isn't much of it right now in 5e, I want more of it. You know, I want a DMG that actually gives you,
I mean,
comprehensive.
It's there. A lot of it's just not great necessarily.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want comprehensive. I want like concrete. I don't want maybe sort of kind of, if you think like this might work, maybe.
Sure, but that's kind of a different problem, because then you're talking about how well they write that aspect, right? That's just can they write that side of the game well, which is like, you know, a little different.
No, not really. They kind of go hand in hand, right? Like it's like I want the gameplay, but I want it to focus.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is like
aspect.
The stuff that already exists. It's not like they wrote it shitty on purpose. They just might not. The designers just might not have that capability. It just might not be the thing they focus on. You know, they just might not be very good at it. So
yes, but that's what I'm saying is that's what I want.
No, I know, but I'm saying what you want. My point is that like what you want, you might not get because they might not be capable. You know, regardless of where they put their focus. Like it,
I guess I don't know. You asked me which one I wanted. That's what I wanted. I wanted gameplay focused on narrative. But I'm confused.
Well, again, all right, this is clearly not a good question, so I'm just moving on. Never mind.
Well, Matt. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Matt. I mean,
so no, because I kind of agree with you when it comes to like I want it to be more of a like the gameplay and everything, combat, any kind of the rules are tactically structured, and then story stuff as a dungeon master. You should be able to be, competent enough to like, you can do that. You can fix anything if they put a couple rules. Because again, people, for love of God, please, if you're dungeon mastering, skim the Dungeon Master's Guide. For the love of fuck, please. Because there are stuff in there. There is info in there, and it will help you. But what I don't like with some of these rules now is that they're like one of the things in this playtest packet, they came up with a bunch of new actions. Like the influence action.
So that's what I'm saying is currently,
and one of those I don't like that because it takes the story out of my
it's looking like with this playtest they're leaning more towards a tactical game with a story problem.
Right.
It seems to be, which originally I don't think was the plan with 5e, but that's kind of seems to be where they are now leaning towards. Now,
I think
the other really important thing here, though, is, you can't get too doomery about this because it's a playtest. We have 2 years. They're trying all sorts of shit. I'm sure that there's going to be rules they throw in these playtests that they don't even think are a good idea. They just want to see how people react and or use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So remember the original crit thing. And
so apparently...
Yeah.
So there's kind of a funny thing there. So a lot of people said, oh, they changed the crit thing because of our feedback. Apparently they didn't, because they had just thought about that crit getting an inspiration on Nat 1. They had already thought about that before this playtest packet went out.
Oh, no. I mean, reverting it back to the 2014, not the switching the 20 to a 1 thing. Although I'm glad they did that.
Oh, that was the same thing. The crit thing? Yeah, that was the same thing. They were always planning on potentially switching it back.
Right.
It wasn't actually... A lot of people are like, oh, they listen. It's like, well, yes and no. But, Yeah, like, the main point though is yes, like, don't, we can't, you try not to be too doomery about it. Try not to lose your fucking mind.
Oh no, I'm not saying like,
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the universe, Matt.
I know. I'm just want to put it out there where it's like, even though I don't like certain things like this whole influence action, like I still like a lot of the stuff in here. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's like you're saying, it's playtest. We should give our feedback to it. We should do the survey, obviously, but and try and shape the game. But like, it's not anything someone should be, get their undies in a knot or anything about, or get really, really upset over. It's they're ruining my game. You can air a dislike for a thing, obviously, but don't. Yeah. But you don't have to take it personally. You don't have to have a stroke over it. Which, because another thing in relation to that, a lot of people are talking about the balance of a thing, like, oh, they changed this, so now this is useless, or oh, they changed this, so now this is godlike, blah 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 blah. When it comes to design of any games, this is true of video games too, number tweaking and balance adjustment is like literally the last thing that gets like finalized and looked at. So do not put a lot of stock into the quote unquote balance of the playtest material, because they probably don't even really give a shit about how balanced things are right now. I mean, Jeremy Crawford even kind of said, he was like, we made the Ranger way more powerful, and it might be too powerful, but we just want to like try these ideas out. He's he was like, it may get, reeled in, or it may not, but that's not really the important focus right now. Right. I mean, it's even in this, like the playtest pack. Yeah,
they mentioned it in the packet.
They're like, oh, some of these things might be way more powerful than in the 2014. Spoiler, they're all a little more powerful. But the important thing to keep in mind is that, because some people might think, oh, well, the power level is going to get adjusted every playtest document or whatever. Good chance that's not the case. Good chance they don't even look at the math until a couple of months from the final release. Like, that shit is so far down the line, like balance in terms of like how the math works out and how abilities work out and all this other shit is way down the road. So like, do not focus on that. It's an important thing not to like, again, not to have a stroke over that. One thing I did find interesting. So they did mention what's ahead in a little side box. So we're getting a revision of every class for the player's handbook, which we knew. We're getting 48 subclasses, like I mentioned. We're getting new and revised spells. Okay, yep. New and revised feats. Okay, yep. This one's interesting. New weapon options for certain classes.
I saw that.
Yeah, that one I'm intrigued by. And then the bullet right under it, a new system for creating a home base. I like that a lot.
Strongholds. Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be strongholds necessarily, but any sort of home base mechanic I think is a good idea, because a lot of people like that idea, like concept.
I do want to mention that they kind of have something already with this. As someone who was looking at the Ebron Adventure League, they had a home base building system in there for the Ebron Adventure League game and campaign. And eventually they even got, because Adventure League works with Wizards of the Coast and a lot of like other outside writers, a lot of those writers will, freelance for Wizards of the Coast. So if they're anything like those rules, then that's going to be very cool. They're a little more complicated than how the MCDM Stronghold and Followers things work, because it's about like finding material to build your base, and then once you build your base, you can go out and basically just keep finding material to build it and make it bigger and better. And the bigger and better it is, then you get the benefits. Which, I mean, that would be cool, because then it's like, oh no, I have all this gold. What do I spend it on? Geez, I guess I'll buy my third Vorpal sword. Or I can buy material for my base.
That's one of the big things I was thinking of, is that, having a home base system building mechanic is a good way to utilize gold. Because A, you need a gold sink, and B, a lot of the time, that's what players want to spend their money on anyway. Like most of the time players are like, there's like 1 or 2 magic items I give a shit about. Once I have those, I don't really care. I have the ones I wanted. You know, I got my Vorpal Sword, I got my Flame Tongue, whatever. Now, what else can I do with my money? Oh, can I make a base? Can I make a garrison? You know, I'm a fighter. Can I make a school, like a training school? Like that tends to be what players look at anyway. So yeah, some sort of codified system for that is probably a very good idea. And hopefully it doesn't suck big poo-poo balls. But it could.
So, actually, we're kind of a departure from the topic. What I'm yawning. I was kind of curious as to what you guys thought about some of the other rule changes. Or maybe not rule changes because Matt brought up the actions. That's technically what I'm talking about. What you guys thought about some of the more like oddly specific ones?
Okay, here's the thing, Isaiah. I really don't want to get into those because those are going to be part 2. So I don't really want to go down that because those are all the way at the bottom.
I know they are, but that's one of those things I feel like they're going to bounce back and forth between, and I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on some of them. But because the problem is if we start going into that, that's going to be the only thing we're talking about for the next hour. Like, there's no way to gloss over it really quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can. Just general, big highlight for me. I don't like the interaction rules, whatever I just said.
The influence actions.
I don't like the influence action. And as a dungeon master, I'm very happy about the new update to guidance. I talked to my players about it yesterday, and they fucking hate it.
I hate it too.
But as a dungeon master, big thumbs up. That's all I'll say. And we can save that for the next episode.
I'm surprised, Matt, because those the influence action rules are literally the social interaction rules from the DMG that you have said previously that you liked.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. It's the same rules. I mean, it's
no,
adjusted,
they're
but it's
different because
the
they
same rule.
So they take the actions and they basically take it out of the dungeon master's hands. Whereas basically the player can do a thing and then take control of what the actions the NPC will do. Whereas the ones in the Dungeon Master's Guide are it's not just one action and then, hey, Dungeon Master, I control this NPC now. It's over the course of role playing and gameplay.
The concept is the same though. It's just they made it more mechanical.
Yes and no.
So it doesn't. You don't actually get to control them.
You don't know.
It's kind of like divination or spells like that. Like you request them to do. Like you can demand them, but they by no means actually have to do what you want. It's just based on the different attitudes. They're more likely to do it.
Right, and like the different attitudes and how they spell it out. Like that's the same from the Dungeon Master's Guide, but it's again that whole like I just do this action and then force the NPC to do the thing. When it's like, all right, well in the DMG you had the rules and you had to roll, and then you had to roll a couple of times to see like how NPCs interact with you over the course of a campaign, not just one flat roll and be like, DM, I rolled a natural 20. Look, that means the NPC gotta do what I say because I have the big PP roll.
I agree. I'm not crazy about the influence action. I think it's sort of unnecessary. But I see what they're going for.
Yeah. No,
I see what the idea is supposed to be. But it does have a little bit of it does feel like you're taking a part of the game that doesn't need to be very mathematic and making it very mathematic. But again, like I said, I don't want to go too into the actions because they're their whole own thing, and we're gonna get there eventually. But I don't want to jump around.
No, that's fine. And we already have jumping back to the beginning, so we can actually start this off. What do you guys think of the class categorizing?
Yeah, so we have the categories. They didn't mention these class categories at all in the previous playtest, right?
I think
they even hint at it, right?
But no, they did mention it, but they never said what class was going where or.
Did they?
They said that there are experts, warriors, and mages. They didn't say priests, and that was the one thing I was confused about. I'm like, because they even mentioned it in the old playtest. They're like, yeah, upcoming categorizing of experts, warriors, and mages. It's like, all right.
I don't remember that being mentioned, but okay.
Yeah. Also, you can look at the two like Tasha's sidekick rules.
Yeah, that's like 100% where they're from.
Yeah, and you're like, okay.
Which is, it's funny. Yeah, so we have expert, mages, priests, warriors. And as much as I'd like to say anything about these, there's really nothing. There's not much to say right now because much like the spell list being, put into the 3 categories, we haven't really seen what this is going to be used for yet. We saw it a very little bit. We know that the various classes within each group have like a signature feature. So all of the experts get expertise, for example. And then we know from the fighting styles feats that all warriors are going to get fighting styles. Obviously mages, it's probably going to be, some sort of spellcasting focus. Priests, maybe it's going to be, what's it called? Channel divinity. Although we don't know.
Are you guys happy with the druids and paladins being lumped into the whole priest category? Because I feel like that's kind of
that makes
weird.
sense.
So I understand what you're saying, Matt, and I don't know where else I would put them.
Yeah, the problem is you can't make them mages. The problem is okay.
I want the category. I just want a different name than priests. I don't know.
Maybe maybe diviners or something like that.
Something,
priest is a little funky because priest does have a certain priest has almost a non-combative connotation to it a little bit.
Right.
Well, for me, that's not even how I see it. I just see it more of a it's a very organized is the only way I can describe it. Like a priest is something of an organized religion, and to me, druidism is not that.
It is also that. I mean, it's that too. I get they wanted to have the categories be even. Personally, I would have just gone with expert, mages, warriors. I would have said a paladin's a warrior, a druid's a mage, a cleric's a mage, and just not be worried about the even breakup. That's how I would have done it. I assume there's a reason they wanted to break them up evenly, but again, because we don't have a lot to go on for what they're doing with these categories, we don't know what the reason for them breaking them up evenly might be.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot to say here.
Right.
It could be good.
Yeah. No,
depending on how they use
later
it.
on. Yeah, later on, who knows? But because it's if you just think about it for a minute, it's I could see druids being priests, but our druids are mostly mages, and then it's paladins are priest warriors. So where the fuck do they fall in line?
I don't think.
And then rangers are also warrior priests because their magic comes from nature, and it's are you gonna have Aragorn every morning? Hey guys, hold on a minute. I have to hug a tree to get my spells.
Yeah, no. See, I think you're putting too much weight on these, Matt. I don't think that. I think you honestly, you can kind of ignore the names. The names could be Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, and Group 4. The name is not really relevant. I think the only thing that's really going to end up mattering is they're going to do stuff. It's probably going to be stuff like, oh, this magic item can be attuned by priests. This feat can only be used by warriors, right? That's generally how it's probably going to go. So I would not put a lot of stock into the names. They might change, they might not. I don't really give a shit. It's as long if they utilize this for some interesting, you could do some potentially cool things like this spell has disadvantage on priest type class. You could do cool shit when you have categorization. Because they're a tag, you can potentially utilize that tag for interesting mechanics. They might not, but you can. So it depends on how they end up utilizing it. And right now we haven't seen enough of it to really say much. But I like the idea so far, So we'll see. It does mean Artificer gets expertise though, which is cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Excuse me. God damn it. They do kind of already have it, but it's with tools specifically. So I will be kind of excited if they get skill proficiencies and tool proficiencies, because that just basically means, much like Rogue, they just never fail saves and insect checks anymore.
Yeah. It might get a little wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else on the first page? Yeah, so they have the little highlights sidebar. which is the new classes have some new features. They have suggested choices for like spells and stuff, and like what to take like feat wise and stuff. So that's good. I like having the suggestion. And then yeah, we have the whole 20th level. You get an epic boon now, which I don't know. I'm kind of going back and forth on that one. I liked the idea at first, and then we kind of thought about it. I'm like, wait, do I actually like that idea? I don't know if I do like that idea.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from on that one.
I'm not sure. I can't.
But
really
I think we're coming at it from different directions.
What do you mean?
So I'm sort of coming at it from the sense of I don't really like that they made they're going to make all the classes level ups be uniform. That one I feel is kind of like, no, I don't like that.
Well, we don't know if all the classes are going to be uniform or if it's just going to be uniform within a group.
Okay, that, yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah,
do you want to hear my game theory about that?
Sure.
Remember the Strixhaven UA that came out way long ago?
No.
And it's like, it was the one where you have a subclass and other classes can be it. So like you can I think because of how that worked out and certain classes would get different abilities at different levels, I think now with this, it's like, all right, every class is uniform. Every class is going to level up the same. And I'm wondering if now we might see like a ranger lore, a lore ranger or a thief bard. Like they might just mix them out. Maybe it's only in their category.
Doubt it.
Yeah,
like,
what I will
be
say
really
is
weird. But
if that eventuality happens, I'm gonna. There's no way in my mind that I see that doesn't feel really lazy. So it would have to be fucking immaculate to impress me.
Yeah, I just don't see it going in that direction. That just seems
right. It's a tinfoil hat theory that I feel like Wizards wants to try and do.
They might try it in one of these playtests, but I don't. That doesn't seem like something that would stick.
Right. Yeah.
I will say though, Isaiah, in reference to the level scaling being the same for all of the experts, at least as far as we're aware at the moment, is there really any benefit to them? Not like the way it is now is when you get your subclass ability is dependent on your class, and a lot of classes have varying subclass progressions, and a lot of classes also share subclass progression, right? Like there's quite a few classes where their progression is copy paste to one another. Is there really any benefit to have it being different on every class? I don't know if that really helps anything. I think that just adds some confusion because you're like, of course, I can't remember any subclass progression off the top of my head, but so I'm just gonna make some shit up. I'm a bard I'm a bard, so at level, I'm trying to think who's a good so sorcerer, for example, I know gets a subclass progression at level 6, and then another one at 14. And then you look at your fighter buddy who gets a subclass ability at level 10, and you're kind of like, wait, why am I not getting my subclass ability? It's like, oh, well, because you're a sorcerer, you just don't get one right now. And it's like, is there really any benefit there? Does that help anyone? I don't feel like it does.
In that instance, I would agree with you. I'd say no, it doesn't help anybody. But as much as I like feats, I want more features. I want more class features, more subclass features.
Well, we did get more subclass features. Every single class got one more.
Hold on. I figure we're probably going to get an averaging of both. Like for expert, yes, we got it. It seems to be on the whole pretty much better than they were before. But I'm worried that in some instances where let's say if Rogue had 3 or 4 more class features than Ranger, my worry would therefore be that they would give 2 to each and split the difference, and I don't want to lose anything from Rogue. You know what I mean?
Well, I suppose we haven't yet, though.
We haven't yet, but I'm worried that we may. So I see this kind of as a slippery slope. This is cool now, but what's the logical conclusion to this?
I don't know if that. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. They might take away class features. That seems
Well, they've already done I don't know where or how, but like the fact that Stroke of Luck went to 18th level means that something got crunched somewhere in Rogue.
No, Stroke of Luck got pushed back because at 20th level you get an epic boon now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What happened there?
What ability did we lose?
Yeah. Off the top of my head,
I was looking at this before. I think it was. I don't think we lost. Did we lose anything there?
I was gonna say I don't think we actually ended up losing anything.
I don't think we did
because now they shuffled a lot of stuff.
They
around
shuffled shit around quite a lot.
At level 10, you get a feat and a subclass feature with the rogue, which that's a big level for them, like a huge level for them now.
Yeah, I don't.
So I think some stuff just got moved around and shuffled. They did add a new feature, which again we can talk about. Subtle strikes. They swapped that out.
Yeah, they
for
added
something.
that one.
We could do a comparison.
Subtle strike is at 13th level, which previously Rogue got an archetype feature.
Right.
So instead they get that archetype feature at 14.
And now every subclass gets subclass. They get 4 now.
Yeah, they all get 4.
More subclass. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of them just got squeezed together. I don't think too many got lost, as far as I can tell. Although Ranger did lose things, but it's less that Ranger lost things and more like things got changed,
buffed, nerfed. All over the place.
So, I mean,
look, I'm cautiously optimistic. On the whole, it's cool, but I am worried, or not worried. I'm cautious to see what happens next.
I mean,
I suppose that's sort of how everyone is, right? When a new edition drops, everyone's like, all right, what are y'all doing? And what's going on right now?
I don't know, Isaiah. This isn't a new edition. This is 1 D&D now.
I am going to smack the shit out your titties, Matt.
I mean, the thing is like, I because the sub, wow, that thought went through a lot of hamster wheels. Because subclasses are sort of the key, one of the showcase features of 5e. I don't think subclasses are going to lose any features. I think we're just going to get more subclass features, which is good because I do think that'll help, because I think subclass features are what tends to make a class more interesting. So I think it's probably going to be fine. I'm not too worried about that problem. Now, as far as my concerns about epic boons at 20th level, I think really what it comes down to is I just would prefer really thematically appropriate capstone abilities per class.
Yeah, the epic boons almost seem like a non-commitment than
They are a little bit, in a way.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where they're like, most people multi-class, so they always do a 2-level dip in some shit. So let's just move the class capstone at 18. That way they can do their 2 levels and be whatever. Or if they want to go max, they'll get an epic boon. Oh, geez. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think the problem is that epic boons themselves are very broad because they were originally intended to be, handed out as a reward for great adventurer, here's your god's blessing for this cool thing you did. So they're very broad, and because they're very broad,
over level 20 doing a campaign still for some reason.
Because they're really broad, they don't have really juicy mechanics to a lot of them,
Yeah.
Because they're meant to be fit in a lot of different scenarios / on a lot of classes.
Yeah, well, so that's another thing. We kind of have to dip into the epic boons a little bit now that we're talking about them. I am not a massive fan that they're kind of limited to who can get what. Like they were a little bit in the DMG. But I like the combat prowess one. I believe that says that it's only eligible for expert or warrior group. And so it's like, oh, well, that's how often would that really affect a wizard? Well, most of the time it wouldn't. But shit like spellcast, spell sing,
Blade Singer.
There we go. my brain just turned off. Like that would be really good for a blade singer. So like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of them restricting them, and like ultimately,
restricting them feels a little pointless.
That being said, again, just small little dip. Yeah, a lot of the new feats have that grouping restriction, or not. Maybe not a lot of the feats, but all of the fighting styles apparently have that grouping restriction. Which,
well, the fighting styles are feats now.
Yeah.
So you are correct. A lot of the feats, yes.
I don't like that.
Yeah, they have the grouping restriction. Get that out of here, please.
I didn't really want to have to go into this one. Okay, Matt.
Yeah, no,
fighting styles being feats is almost a non-change.
I know. Again,
it basically changes nothing.
No, I don't want to get into it either, but I'll just put my like small thing. I don't think fighting styles are strong enough to be considered on an equal playing field as feats.
But they already were. That's the thing, because there was a
Wizards
feat
of the Coast.
There's a feat,
and I feel like they're wrong.
Because there was a feat that gave you a fighting style already. That was already a thing. That's what it did.
Yeah, I know.
So they were already that, and it's not like the fighting styles becoming the feats has like changed when you get them. Ranger still gets a fighting style at level 2.
Yeah.
So it's literally the reason they're doing it is cleanup, because a lot of this playtest stuff. What I noticed it a little bit with the first one, but I'm really noticing with this one. A lot of what they're doing with 1D&D is cleanup, because if you have class features and you have epic boons and you have feats, it's like, well, really, these all kind of do the same thing. Why not just put them all into the same category so it's more clear? Yes, feats give you stuff. These are all feats. They all do the same thing. It's cleaning up the paperwork so that things aren't chopped up sort of arbitrarily, which they kind of are now.
I don't think I don't know. I feel like fighting styles should be categorized separately from feats and well, maybe not epic. I don't know. Epic boons, that's a weird one.
Also, I feel like I can meet you guys halfway on this. Where I think the fighting style adepts, right? Is that what it's called right now?
I think so.
Fighting adepts.
The feat.
There's two of them. There's the one
whatever that feat is. I think that feat worked just fine the way it was. I don't think we needed to separate them all out.
No, but what I'm saying is it's not like you guys are getting hung up on like, does this make sense, blah blah blah. Whereas if they had done this from the get-go, like if this was always the case, it would make sense, because what you're doing is like, there's this thing in game design, you don't want to fracture everything into its own little sub mechanic. You want mechanics to feed back into each other, right? One of the reasons that a lot of tabletop games fall apart is because all of the different mechanics for the different things are their own little sub mechanics that have no relation to like they don't relate back to the primary mechanics of the game. You know, you have the Shadowrun problem of, here's the cyber deck, here's the cyberspace mechanics, and their own little subsystem that does not interact with the main system of the game in any way. So by putting everything under hold on. By putting everything under the feat umbrella, you're chopping away at these unnecessary subcategories and putting everything into a nice little spot and cleaning it up. So it's just easier to be like, a feat, you get an ability, it's a feat. Done. Like, conversation over. Now, they haven't done it 100% because class features are still a thing, but that seems to be the direction they're moving in. Because this is what Pathfinder does. I don't like it. class features like feats, epic boons, abilities, fighting style spells, everything is built into the feat system. And when you get to the various levels, it's like you either A, you get this feat, or B, pick a feat from this thing. And it's essentially just putting everything into an umbrella, so you only have to look in one place rather than jumping around, or potentially jumping around.
Yeah, like I said, I get what you're saying. My thing is, I just feel like they cleaned it up. They could have cleaned it up in a more efficient way, I don't think.
I mean, if you have a system that's already there, might as well, scoop everything into that spot.
Well, you scoop it in, but like, you don't have to separate them out into individual feats.
What, the fighting style specifically?
Yeah. You have a little table at the bottom of the feats thing.
Sure.
And just make all the fighting style, put them all there.
I mean, that's kind of, I think that's just 6 one, half a dozen of the other, though. Like, I don't think that really matters.
I mean,
because at the end of the day, you're only picking, either way, you're picking one. You know,
right? Like my only thing is it's just like, all right, now you're just sweeping these into the, like you're saying, Josh, they're trying to clean up, but now you're just sweeping them into a bigger list. And now it's just like, all right, I have everything in one list. I don't have to go to the other list, but what if I'm like trying to find one specific thing? It makes my organization more annoying and tedious that I have to find something in this giant list when things are just subcategorized and I can just pull that subcategory out and find it faster.
That potential problem comes down to organization of the book, right? Because that could be an issue, but if it's organized well, then the fighting styles will all kind of be in the same spot and they'll be easy to find and so on and so forth. So that kind of comes later. It could be a problem if everything's just in a massive list that isn't categorized in any way. But if the list is well categorized, then it's not a problem. So it kind of depends, but we don't know yet because we haven't seen any of that work yet. And then as far as the like picking the fighting styles from a list or picking one fighting style, it's the same, you know, like pick one thing from this list or pick one thing from this list. Like it's not, that doesn't really matter. You know, it just, I mean,
but I like the other list.
I guess the one benefit if there was a fighting style table, the one benefit there would be, it would be very easy to make the table and put them all on one page. So from a book organization standpoint, that would be good. Mm-hmm. But you could kind of still do that now anyway. You could still just have them in their own little section potentially.
Yeah.
I think the main reason they're turning a lot of stuff into the feat category is kind of it's a player teaching tool in a lot of ways, because once you become familiar with what a feat is in one regard, and then the game mentions feats again, you go, oh, I know what this is. I've already interacted with this mechanic. Whereas when the game mentions this is a class feature, and then here's a feat, you know, like this is a fighting style, and then here's a feat, a new player might, you know, there's situations where, I mean, I know I've heard or seen people say this, where it's like, you know, I'm not sure is there a difference between these two things? Are they the same thing? When really at the end of the day, a feat and a fighting style are kind of the same thing at the end of the day. Like on the design table, they're kind of the same. You know, you pick a thing, you get an ability that augments your character. So I think it makes sense. We'll see if they stick to it. They may not. I don't know. But anyway, are we going to talk about Bard?
An hour in?
No, actually, let's just talk about, let's go backwards now. Let's talk about the rogue.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. Let's actually do the Bard.
Our good buddy, the Bard. Woo, I have, oh man, I got some feelings.
Yeah.
A little all over the place. As you guys know, and for the wider audience, I like Bard very much. So I was very interested to see what they did with Bard.
A lot of people were saying that 5e kind of made the Bard like very good. And because in other editions, I guess people weren't happy with Bard. They were like a mix of like Rogue and Paladin or some shit. And a lot of people were like, eh.
In really old editions, they were very hard. It was really hard to become a Bard because you had to level multiple classes. But that's like 2nd edition.
There was like prestige classes. And then I guess in 4th edition and 3rd edition, 4th edition, people were like,
I think they were just kind
the Bard's
of
okay.
Yeah, they just weren't that great is generally the consensus. But I don't know enough to really get into that one. So I'm not even going to.
This is mostly just me from reading a couple of articles on Reddit and I forgot World Forum or something. The website talks about old RPGs and shit.
I've heard people
like a lot
mention it. I don't know.
Yeah. But this is offhand information that I've heard.
Either way. So the one thing I did notice right off the bat that is a Bard change that I'm definitely not a huge fan of is Bards only get simple weapons in this playtest. Only simple.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So they only get simple weapon proficiency. So no rapiers, no long swords, no hand crossbows, which feels really weird to me because I like the idea that the Bard is kind of a half fighter, right? So I like that Bards could use like a longsword, for example. So yeah, taking that away is really funky. Now they did make short sword a simple weapon, so you still get short swords.
Yeah, at least.
But yeah, them only having simple weapons, I'm not crazy about. TBH.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. To me, Bard has a rapier. Like that's what I've always imagined.
Yeah, right. That's the thing, right? And you know, granted, this is a problem that you can solve very easily because you start with feats at level 1 now. So like you could just pick up a feat that will give you, you know, you could pick up the weapon training feat if you wanted to have a rapier or a longsword or whatever. But it is a little weird that you have to take the feat to sort of make up for it.
Yeah, so I just had this, like, we're going to assume, you know, most people play bards with low strength, right? Because strength doesn't really behoove you at all as a bard.
Sure, yeah.
So with that in mind, bards realistically have access to short sword, dagger. That's about it. Because those are the only two real, like, dex-based simple weapons that you're going to have access to now. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't that feel kind of shitty? Like, assuming that they like revamp the system and maybe they play with the tags more, maybe this will be a non-issue. But as of right now, it's only really viable for them to take dagger short sword.
Right.
Like,
well, it depends on if you're going to go Valor Bard or Lore Bard. Because, like, if you're a Lore Bard, especially with this playtest, they really want you to be a caster.
Well, Lore Bard was always supposed to be the caster bard.
Yeah.
So, like, that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. Especially with this playtest, it's like, because with Valor Bard and then later on with Sword Bard, they give you martial proficiencies.
True, yeah.
God
So maybe
they do, but
I think a normal bard, they're kind of like, you know, the subclasses will give you the other proficiencies later on if you want to swing a big sword or scimitar or whatever the fuck.
Yes,
that's where I think they're going, or at least that's what I think they're doing.
So I get the mentality, but it kind of confuses me, right? Because, like, bards being the, and I quote, jack of all trades would mean that they're, you know, as good, if not probably a little better than at swinging swords than clerics are, you know? Like, yeah, they're better than, say, a wizard, but
yeah,
like, with this in mind, you're kind of like, you're not officially doing it, but you're like sort of soft limiting their combat prowess to a wizard. Less so, because wizards get fucking hand crossbows.
Well, they may not anymore. You know, they could change the wizard stuff too. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I assume they are. The thinking is what Matt's saying, where the default bard, right? Because the first subclass of every class is supposed to be the default, right? So, like, you know, champion fighter is, if you're a player who's new and you're like, what's the default option? I don't want to have to, like, think about my subclass. You just pick the first one on the list. For bard, that is lore bard. Lore bard is quote unquote the default bard, and lore bard has always been the casty bard. So Matt's probably right in that they will make up for the weapon proficiencies with the other subclasses. But, you know, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird to give them simple weapons, but if that's what they're doing, I guess if they do make up for it with the other classes, with the other subclasses, that's fine. Although that does mean at level 1 and 2, you still don't get, like, a longsword or a rapier, which is kind of weird.
Which is just giving me less of a reason to start a campaign at level 1.
I mean, there was already not a lot of reason, but, you know.
They're just nuking it.
Yeah.
One of my players is a sword bard now, and when he hit level 3, he was like, finally, I can use a scimitar.
Yeah, that is
my class main shtick.
That is that weird thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because he was just using a short sword for the longest time. He's like, God, I hate this. I hate everything about this.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, okay, real quick. For me, look, scimitar and short sword are the same fucking weapon, except one does piercing, one does slashing. So, like,
But it's about the fantasy of it, Isaiah.
Yeah, okay, the fantasy is your short sword could be a scimitar.
I want to be that guy from Agrabah who's swinging 2 scimitars around, and then Aladdin's like, look at your pants, and the pants fall down. I want to be that guy. Look how cool he was.
You can do that with a short sword and just flavor it.
No, it's different. It's a different feel.
Matt was going to bury his head in the sand on this one.
I apparently okay. Is Matt doing it or is his player doing it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well,
Because someone's getting
this is
jumped
also
in an
he's doing
alley.
the scimitars are. He's doing the scimitars or keyblades thing.
Wait, what?
What?
Yeah. Oh, this is So this is about Jake. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
No. I feel I am deeply invested in Keyblades now. Hold on.
Yeah, because he's a big Kingdom Hearts fan like you guys. So he's like, Matt, I want my
how dare you call me a slur like that?
Like so because he's Keyblades?
So yeah. So he's like kind of get like scimitars and just flavor them as Keyblades. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't give a shit.
All right. For the record, I'm not making fun of this person. This is amazing. I love this so much.
That's a wild.
And then he's like,
ride.
how is it gonna work when I like find like? He's like, are there other like scimitars I can find out there? He's like, I kind of like the idea of like Kingdom Hearts, like where you find different Keyblades and they do different things. I'm like, you're good. Don't worry about it. You're gonna have plenty of options.
Magic items.
Yeah,
they are. Yes. All right then. Interesting.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the new Bardic Inspiration?
Matt, can you just, sir, come on. I'm trying to go in order. You guys are making this real hard.
What? Wait, that was the next thing.
No, it's not. Shush.
Huh?
There's two things I wanted to mention before that.
Oh, okay. All right.
God damn it.
Go. Even Steven,
what do you want to bring up?
Actually, there's three things. First of all,
God.
in the skill suggestions, in skill proficiencies, they now give you 3 suggestions and then say parentheses or any 3 skills of your choice. That's a good idea. I like giving suggested ones because the old PHB did not do that. I like that we're doing this thing where we suggest to players who don't know what to pick. That's good.
Yeah, it did. With the quick start. Every class had a quick start.
But now there's but now there's not the quick start. Now it's just built in. The proficiencies literally just say deception, performance, persuasion, or any 3 skills of your choice. So
this isn't that clean, Josh. I'd rather it say
this is cleaner because it's not on the
and
side.
Then suggestions be at the top, and then the actual skills be lower than that.
I mean, you're allowed to be wrong, Matt, but okay. Anyway,
okay.
The other thing was so they reworded. This is a small thing, but this is another example of like trying to clean things up. They reworded armor proficiency to armor training.
Yeah,
and you might say,
I remember that from the video.
You might say, what's the point of that? And it's real simple. It's because armor proficiency is the only thing in the game that used the word proficiency but didn't use your proficiency bonus.
Right.
So it was just an unnecessary confusion, which totally makes sense to me because it's true. Because I remember early on when I was learning 5e, I thought armor proficiency meant like it was like maybe adding my proficiency to my AC or something like that. That's not at all what that means. So armor training, good change of words. And then the last thing, I feel like Matt will like this. The classes just get flat GP now. Matt, I know this is a thing you've complained about before, like rolling for starting gold.
Yeah, it was the same in the last playtest packet too, I think, with some of the backgrounds. Well, that was the
backgrounds, but this is the classes get base lot. We didn't know if they were going to do that with the classes or not. So Bards just starts with 100 gold. And again, they have a suggested list if you don't know what to buy.
Yeah.
So, that's a good little...
100 gold?
Yeah, 100 gold.
What?
Yeah, Rangers get 100. Yeah, Rangers get 100.
At first level, you start with the following equipment, or you can forego it and spend 100 GP on equipment of your choice.
Rangers get 150. Shit.
Yeah. The 18 is left. That list there,
That's
Matt,
left over.
is the suggested buying list, and then you have a little bit left over.
Okay.
Okay.
Why do Rangers have so much money?
I don't know.
Why do Bards have the least amount of money? I feel like they'd have the most.
Aragorn has swag.
But anyway, so yes, Bardic Inspiration, the new Bardic Inspiration, is basically good in every way. I don't think I have any complaints. I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm pretty much good to go.
Yes, I don't know. I think it's weird that it's a reaction and it has to be.
I think that makes more sense.
It does, but I don't like it that you have to wait when a creature fails. I like it being a reaction, but I don't like it when a creature rolls a die.
But Matt,
when they fail a roll,
there's no point in using it if they don't fail a roll.
No, because what?
Because getting a higher success, rules is written. A lot of GMs do rule it this way, but rules as written, getting a higher number after you've already beaten the DC does not give you anything extra. So there's literally no point in using it unless they failed. So even if that clause wasn't there, people would still only use it if they failed to roll, because there's no reason to use it otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and as it is right now, it's kind of annoying because you have to give your allies Bardic Inspiration preemptively, and look them in the eyes and be like, better fucking use this correctly, you son of a bitch. Now you can just be like, hey, here you go.
I don't think that's that bad though, because it like gives it to the control to the player of like, all right, who am I going to give Bardic Inspiration to? Who am I going to stack
counter
this ability
argument?
with?
I, as the bard, want to control my fucking inspirations. You can lick my balls, fighter.
Oh, well, no. Doesn't this do? They basically doesn't this take it away because you have to wait till another player fails, or I guess you can do
right. But the point is that before, you would hand it to the player and be like, you better remember you have this. Now you could just see your friend failed, point to them and go, no, they don't.
That's the difference between using it and like giving it out.
Right.
Like,
but
I feel like the bard would be like better off giving it out and being like, all right, you can do this, or the healing thing.
The point is that this gives it more control over when you're utilizing it, and it's going to get immediately utilized because it's a reaction. So you can do it on reaction. Whereas before it was an action or a bonus action. So it's like,
bonus action. Yeah.
That was literally what Jeremy Crawford said. He was like, this is the point of this, is to give the bard more control over when they're actually utilizing their bardic inspiration, as opposed to bequeathing it to your ally player. Because it's kind of weird to have your ability be dependent on them remembering and or them using it correctly. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird thing, because it's like the way it works now is you're like, all right, here's my child, please be good with it, don't drop the baby. And then you just have to hope the fighter doesn't drop the baby. And he might drop it, or he might forget the baby at the grocery store, and then you have a dead baby. And nobody likes that. So, now.
What a bizarre fucking analogy that turned into.
Instead, when your fighter player fails a check, you just yeet the baby at him. And
I don't know. This all sounds like the fighter's problem to me.
I mean, it kind of is. But yeah, I like it. I also I like that they have a heal now. That's cool. The one thing they did do, the thing that I knew that they were gonna do, which is the number of times you get it is equal to your proficiency bonus.
Everything's based on proficiency.
I'm still not crazy about that, just because.
Yeah, no, big same, bud. Big same.
I like getting rewarded for having a higher charisma stat. I do like that reward of like, you invested extra in your charisma, so you get an extra number of bardic inspirations. Now it's like every bard's gonna have the same amount all the time, which is like, not crazy about that. But I knew they were gonna do that, so I knew the dark times were coming.
Yeah, everything's based on proficiency bonus. Your feats, the number of attacks, your number of spells, everything. It's all proficiency bonus.
That is an incorrect statement.
Nope, we're just going to simplify the game even further, Josh.
A lot of things
Put everything on proficiency bonus.
A lot of things are based on it, but not spells. Speaking of spells, bards are prepared casters, and so are rangers. And
this I do like.
Maybe everyone is? ? We'll see.
Yeah, I think everyone might switch over to prepared.
I do like this.
I'm kind of middle of the road on it, to be honest.
Like, I think it makes sense for certain classes to be known casters, like sorcerers, obviously.
I could see the argument
for more fucking spells.
I mean, it would be interesting if sorcerer was the only known caster. That'd be intriguing. But you would have to give them something in return to make it, worth it.
Right. I see it for bard. Ranger, I'm like,
I see it for ranger.
Really?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because the whole thing about ranger is I'm knowledgeable. Hold on, let me swap out. Hold on, I know what we need to deal with tomorrow. Let me swap out my ability so we're ready to go for tomorrow. I think that makes sense.
Yes.
Because Mr. Daddy Crawford's explanation on this one.
We call him Jawcraw on the streets. So.
Oh yes, Jawcraw.
I've literally never said either of those.
Yeah, no, I will not be calling him Jawcraw. He basically said, because of the way the game is, combat emphasized, what a lot of players end up doing when they are known casters like a sorcerer or a bard is they just pick a lot of combat spells and they don't pick anything else because they know that they're going to reliably use their combat spells. And because when you're a known caster, you only get so many spells that you're going to ever learn, you got to make sure you sort of make the correct choice. So now, making them prepared casters, you can have a situation where if you know for a fact the next day you're not going to be fighting or you're going to be doing some sort of investigation or something different, now you have the option to go, okay, cool. Now I can use these other spells that when I was a known caster, I would never have picked them. But now that I'm a prepared caster, I can prepare them for a day, use these more flavorful like RP focus spells, and then swap back to my combat spells when we go out to the dungeon. And I think that makes a lot of sense because it is true. I mean, I can say from my own experience, when picking spells as a bard and a sorcerer, I was almost entirely like, is this going to be good in either a fight or be some sort of buff or resto thing I could use? So
I get
makes
it.
sense.
Kind of, I get it. So my counter argument is this, right? When you get classes like cleric and druid, one of the biggest complaints is, oh my god, there are so many spells. Which ones do I prepare? Like, what if I pick one that's completely useless for the day and it fucks up my party? You know what I mean?
Right, which is why they have the suggested lists.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. The suggested list is fine, but it doesn't cover every situation. And, you know, if one D&D is going to be what, like, everyone thinks it's going to be good, but I think it's going to be good for what we want now, and then it's going to shift, like it did with 5e. So, how long is it until the suggestions are sort of outdated? You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, the thing is like, you literally could never, you know, you can't make a suggested list that would cover every scenario because you're not at every single person's table, right? So that's an impossible goal. And being a known caster has the exact same problem, except you're doubly locked down because not only did you pick the wrong spell, you also can't prepare a new one, you know? So like, that's always the problem is, wow, there's a lot of spells. What if I pick the wrong spell? Now, at least if you're a prepared caster, you can go, all right, well, I picked the wrong spell for today. Let me swap that spell out tomorrow because I'm never using it. I never end up using it. You know what I mean? So I would argue it's actually solving that problem.
Sort of.
But didn't Tasha's add that whole thing, like certain classes? I think the
Only
bard had
on,
a
like,
thing where they
level 4 and level 8, I think. Like,
oh, I thought it was like from then on, every
No.
time they long rest, they can swap. Or
no,
maybe that's
That
the
was the
wizard I'm
playtest.
thinking of.
it was levels. When you, yeah, so they added spell versatility to a lot of the known casters, but they were only, I think they were anytime you got a feat, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah.
So-
In Tasha's, yeah.
Yeah, so like they put it there, but it was kind of restrictive. So it didn't, like, it was like a half step. Whereas again, this just making them prepared casters, it's like, all right, well, I chose the wrong spell for today and I didn't end up using it. And now I know this spell's not very good. I'm just not going to prepare it anymore. And I'm just going to swap out and, you know, the stress is gone. Whereas, oh, I picked the wrong spell. I'm a known caster. I don't get to change this. Now I have to beg my DM, can I please change this? I didn't realize how shit this spell was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so my thing with that is, I would prefer if you were like a known caster, but maybe on a long rest you could swap out a single spell. That way you're not like completely inundated.
That's a prepared caster with more steps.
Sort of. It is a more restricted prepared caster, but it's one of those things where it's like,
That feels like an unnecessary half step when we already have prepared casters in the game. So it's just easier to just be like, you do this now.
sort of, because I see it like this, right? It's like, okay, you have your spell list, you get to try out, the spells on your spell list, but there isn't like this massive incentive to like prepare a bunch of new spells on a different day, right? It's like, oh well, shit, I have 8 quadrillion spells if I'm a druid. What if my usual spells don't work? Like, I have to redo all of them.
That's
and like
always,
for me, whenever I play a cleric, I get really stressed the fuck out with that.
I understand, but Isaiah, do you not see the other problem where, okay, I'm a known caster, I just don't get to solve the problem. I'm just in the shitty pigeonhole now, you know? Like, I don't think this idea that known caster is somehow easier to deal with, I don't think is true, because you're still picking from the giant list either way. The only difference is a prepared caster is if you fuck up, you have a failsafe, whereas a known caster, if you fuck up, you don't have a failsafe, you know? I mean, obviously you could, you know, be like, hey, GM, can I swap the spell? But like, you know, rules is written, you do not have a failsafe. And also, not for nothing, but having all of the casters be one, like having all of the spellcasters use the same kind of spellcasting rules really helps with teaching the game. Because I distinctly remember when I learned the game, I thought everyone was a known caster because I had played, or I had seen someone play. I don't even remember why I had that assumption, but I thought everyone worked like sorcerer or bard. And then I played a cleric, and I didn't realize I got every spell on the cleric list. So I picked and chose. I thought I had to choose, and I was a prepared caster. That was what I thought. I thought it was both. I didn't realize no. As a prepared caster, I thought it worked like wizard, which is even further confusing that wizard has to choose and is a prepared caster. That's a whole other thing. So
I actually kind of like that.
Making everyone use the same spellcasting system, it can help a lot with like teaching and learning the game. You know, like spellcasters cast this way. This is how the spellcasting works, you know? And it's like
yes, but it also, you lose access to like tiered entry, right? Like playing something like a warlock, which is arguably the simplest caster to play, right? Because you have your spells. These are the spells that you have. You don't have many of them, but that you don't have to worry about many of them.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, if you think about it,
I don't know if Wizards wants that though. I don't know if they want this idea of like some spellcasters are easier than others. I think they, in their mind, if you want to play an easier class, just don't play a spellcaster, period, is what they're thinking is. The spellcasters are the harder classes, the marshals are the easier classes.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It just seems like...
I mean, you cannot like it, but I think that's what their train of thought is.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about what I don't like. So, it just seems kind of like weirdly limiting, despite how much it opens things up. It's like you're opening it up more, but you're focusing it less, it feels like.
You're not, though. Because you're focusing it more. You're focusing it on one mechanic as opposed to 3 disparate mechanics. You know? Before, we had prepared caster, known caster, and whatever the fuck's going on with wizard. Now, potentially, we just have everyone's a prepared caster. So you're honing it in and saying, all right, this is how we want spellcasting to work. And, like, you know, it's also easier to design when you're more honed in like that. Just sort of generally.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having trouble putting it into words. It doesn't sit well with me.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I think it makes more sense.
In some
aspects it does, but it just doesn't feel. I don't know.
It's all about the feeling.
What'd you say, Matt?
It's all about the feeling.
No, before that.
No, because I bounced back. Same thing with Isaiah. Like I get it, but I also kind of would prefer known casters or something, kind of like the wizard. Because I like, again, someone who played a wizard for 14 fucking levels. It did feel like the best of both worlds. I was a prepared caster. However, I didn't have the entire fucking spell list like clerics and druids. I had a limited spell list, but it was still way more than sorcerers. So I kind of like that.
That does also open up an interesting rabbit hole when it comes to wizard, right? Because wizard's whole thing is you're a known caster, but you can learn more spells.
Yeah, right. I know.
Are they going to change that?
I don't know. I don't really want to get too deep on that theory crafting rabbit hole because we just have zero information.
It's just a theory.
You know? I did have that thought. I have no clue. Wizard,
if they do, I'm gonna be kind of miffed.
Maybe they just accept wizard as the most complicated caster and just leave it the way it is. I don't know. Because it will be kind of weird to take away the scribing new spells into your book, because that is like a big keystone feature of the wizard.
Yeah.
Unless they make it a class feature, like, or
It is a class
I
feature.
well, like
It's already a
I
class
guess
feature.
more. I don't know.
Wait, what?
Like unless they have it do more, like be like, you know, like a subclass feature or something.
Well, then that would imply only one specific wizard subclass gets that.
Well,
which
like
is
each
kinda weird.
subclass gets a different version of the.
Oh,
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless they make it into
That'd be
something
interesting.
way more than it should be, which would be weird. But I don't know. Again, anyways, actually, wait, I'm not hosting. Josh.
I know. I don't know why you keep doing this. So second level, bards get
Speaking of
Song
second
of
level-
Restoration, which is, solves the problem we were thinking about before of like, wait, but then if bards are arcane casters, they don't get healing spells. So they solve that problem. You have a set list of healing spells that are always prepared. Sure, that's fine. I would have liked to see maybe a couple more, but they gave you really good healing spells, so whatever. They give you fucking healing word at second level, which is like the choice. So
Every spell in here is good. My only complaint is that I kind of liked Song of Rest and how it worked.
I was just about to say that. I'm really sad Song of Rest is gone. I love the idea of like everyone gather around the campfire while the bard tells the story and gets more healing.
And plays a song. Yeah, I like that. But then the other, this
I
kind of
really miss
harkens
Song
to
of Rest.
this kind of harkens to another thing with Bard and just there's the whole power creep and all that shit getting in here as well. It's like all these are very good options. All these are very useful spells that any party can benefit from. And
What does that have to do with Song of
it's like,
Rest?
well, no, with the Song of Restoration. I'm talking about like Song of Restoration with this new feature now.
Oh yeah,
where
well,
now we're getting into like,
I mean, yeah,
wow,
but bards
it's like,
were already picking these. Is the thing
right? Well, most bards were picking some of these. Probably most of them.
Most
Like
of them.
I don't think I've seen a bard pick Freedom of Movement or Greater Restoration.
Maybe
at
not
all.
Freedom of Movement. Greater.
No, I've seen
Resto,
Greater
definitely.
Resto, but I haven't seen Freedom of Movement.
Right, Mass Healing Word definitely.
Healing
every
word and
bard
mass
I've
healing
seen.
word for sure.
I've seen one bard take Lesser Restoration, but again, one. But my biggest thing with this now, it's like, and Josh, you were talking about it the other day, where it's like, players in 5e are very strong. They're very hard to kill already, and now as the game, gets a little longer in the tooth, players are even harder and stronger.
I don't
And
think
it's like,
this makes
all
the
right.
bard any stronger.
Well, no, I'm saying it not stronger. What I'm getting at is it's making it so that now it's like, all right, the bard has all these the bard already had healing
I was
spells.
gonna say the bard already had
now-
all these though, so it's not new.
Right, but now it's like, all right, so we're getting rid of Song of Rest, and now it's like the bard's just going to get these for free. They're not counting towards your spells. He doesn't have to think about it. It's just like you just get this, and it's getting into now. It's like, all
Yeah,
right,
but
players
this-
are now even
This gets
harder to like kill.
I mean, they're
it's getting
not,
into another
though.
argument.
Okay, but here's the okay. This is the
Yeah.
thing, though, Matt. This is where you get into this scenario of the optimal pick.
yeah,
And if you wanted to be optimal as a bard, you were already picking these. And if you weren't picking
Right.
these, you were shooting yourself in the foot. So giving them to you for free, all that's doing is sort of taking it out of the like min-maxy thing and being like, you get these for free, now go pick some other fun spells also, as opposed to feeling like, well, I have to take these because they are the optimal choice. So it's really not a change. It is not, this is not a buff to bard really. This is just giving you the things that you should probably have been picking anyway, and a lot of bards already were picking. Here you go. Now go ahead, look at other spells. Because
right.
that's that's the problem, right? When there's especially healing word in particular, when there is a choice that is so obviously brain dead good that you have to pick it, then it's like Eldritch Blast with Warlock. You have to pick it. Do you technically have to? No, not technically. But you kind of have to pick it if you really, really want to be effective. So they should probably just give it to you automatically. This is the same thing they did with Hunter's Mark, right? When there's those choices that are like, this is just too good to ignore, it makes a lot of sense to be like, you know what? You just get this now. Because
Right.
it frees up the player to look at other stuff and like potentially play around with other things they might not have.
I don't know. Well, and when we get to the Ranger, I do want to talk about that Hunter's Mark thing, because like I'm in the camp of like, Why is this a fucking spell? Just make it a class feat. Just make it their own thing. Why is this a spell?
There's well,
Yeah, I know.
There are
We-
reasons for it, but
There are
like,
reasons.
There are
that's the
reasons
thing.
for it. I just don't like them, and it's like just fuck the other. Oh no, my my vengeance paladin isn't gonna get a hunter's mark now. Whatever will I do? Fuck them. They're fine.
Yes.
They're good. They don't need
no,
it.
literally no. What the fuck are you talking about? Matt, of
What
all
do you mean
times
what
to
I'm
bury your
talking-
head
they
in the
don't need
sand, this definitely ain't it.
No,
Like,
they don't need that. They don't need like Oath of Vengeance Paladin doesn't need a hunter's mark.
Bard.
We are in the
I
bar.
know. we're an
Anyway,
hour and
speaking
30
of
in.
fourth
We got
level,
30 minutes left to do 2 more classes.
Yeah, this is
the
whatever.
bar, Jack of all. No,
I mean, we're
All right,
getting through
Josh,
these
you
3 classes. I don't give a fuck. All right,
There's gonna be a 5-parter, folks.
Third level bard class subcreatures. We'll get to that. 4th level, you get a feat. Jack of all trades is still there. Jack of all trades is the same, except one little minor nerf. You can't apply it to your initiative anymore.
Mm.
And I'm gonna be honest, this is one of those nerfs that I think they're doing because they never intended it to be applied to your initiative. They just realized there was a misstep in the ruling. Like, this feels like one of those things where they were like, yeah, we never actually wanted you to use it for initiative, but we didn't realize that we had worded it incorrectly, so you could use it for initiative, and then we just kind of took that L when we realized it.
They also moved it up. It used to be at 2nd level, and now it's level 5.
It was 2nd level? Was it that soon?
Yeah, Jack of all trades.
Oh, yeah, it was
really
that soon.
Way fucking early.
I mean, that's
Well, wait,
fine.
real quick. Couldn't you make the argument? So, like, initiative is just a dexterity check.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you don't have proficiency in it. So, like, could you not argue that Jack of all trades still does give you that?
No, because what it says specifically now is you add half your proficiency bonus to any ability check you make that uses a skill proficiency. So initiative is not a skill proficiency. Initiative's not a skill. Dexterity is not a skill. So it doesn't apply anymore.
I guess.
That's
Yeah,
what
because
that,
Ian says here, like, as an example, if you make a strength check athletics
Yeah.
and lack the athletics proficiency, you add half your
they
proficiency bonus
specified
to the check.
the changing of the wording was the specification on skill proficiency.
Mhm.
Whereas before, I think it just said if you lack proficiency in the check, I want to say, or something along those lines. It was a little more broad, so it applied to
you add
initiative.
half your proficiency bonus rounded down to any ability check you make that doesn't already
Ability check.
include your proficiency bonus.
That's why. So yeah, the original phrasing was ability check. The new phrasing is skill proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I honestly think this was always intended to be the situation. Real talk.
Mm.
So 6th level, we now get a subclass feature, which we didn't before.
Yep.
6th level before, we got counter charm. You did get a bard college feature at 6th level. You also got counter charm. They took away the counter charm. Here's my thing. This is one of those things I have some feelings about, and I'm a little iffy on how they're handling this situation. I understand counter charm was fucking trash. It absolutely was a trash ability. It did not do diddly dick. You never used it. It was ass, right? Totally understand that. However, I really love thematic and fictional implications of counter charm.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked the idea of that ability, and I really wish they just reworked it as opposed to getting rid of it. Because I know it was ass, but just because it was ass doesn't mean you should get rid of it, you know?
Right.
And that's something I'm not a fan of that they did in a couple of places, is they were like, this ability was super shit, so we're just going to get rid of it. It's like, well, I understand your argument, but there was no version of it you could have made that would have been worth it?
Yeah, or like make something or hell, move. I don't even want to say move song arrest, but like there, but
You know what's funny? Real quick, sorry, I mean to.
Yeah.
I feel like the easy fix to counter charm, right, is like,
Make it a reaction.
no, I would just say any creature that has a CR lower than you cannot charm you, and any creature that has a CR above you, you have advantage on being charmed or dominated.
Well, counter charm also was for allies, is the thing. It was friendly creatures within 30 feet of you. So.
Sure.
You
Then I would
and
say
friendly.
they get advantage. Like you have the immunity to things lower than you, but they still get the advantage. You know.
My thought was counter charm should be a reaction ability, like cutting word style, and you just, when someone's trying, like, gonna get charmed or frightened, you can like burn your reaction to be like no and give them advantage, or maybe just make them save automatically. That was always what I thought for counter charm. It's sort of like a it's like counter spell but for charms.
Yeah, that works.
But yeah, they just went with getting the fuck rid of it, which not crazy about. But whatever. We'll see. May or may not. I don't think they're gonna take the time to go back and look at counter charm. I think they just writ that ability off. But oh well. Font of Bardic Inspiration is the same, but it got a nice little buff where now Font of Bardic Inspiration that you get at level 7, if your Bardic Inspiration die is a 1, you don't lose it, which is cool.
Ooh, so actually, I do like that a lot.
Yeah, so like if you throw your homie a buff and you roll a 1, and it doesn't help them, you're like, well, that sucks, but I didn't lose the Bardic Inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very nice.
And then at 8th level, you get a feat, and then at 9th level, you get expertise, which... So you get expertise twice, which I don't think you did before, right?
You did.
You did.
Where?
Yeah, Rogue got it twice.
10.
Bard got it twice. Yeah.
Oh, so you get it a little bit sooner.
Yeah, a little sooner. And
10th level,
this
you
is
get
the other thing
subclass
with
feature.
the shuffling stuff, yeah.
But,
where, like, I'm not happy that Magic Secrets got bumped up, but
yeah,
it makes sense because of how they changed subclasses. So.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate it got bumped up, but it's only one level. It's not like that bit much.
It's
luckily.
not that bad. But also, like, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, like, most campaigns end at 10. No one ends a campaign at level 11 because it's an awkward level. So it's
but if you're going beyond 10, you're almost certainly going to hit level 11.
Oh yeah, if you are. But again, how many campaign they there's all the charts and everything out there. Most campaigns end at level 10. And it's like, all right,
I would like to remind everyone that those charts and stats and everything have a user bias built into them, because those charts come from D&D Beyond, and many people don't make campaigns or character sheets on D&D Beyond to just play in person. So we can't rely too much on those numbers. But anyway.
Yeah, but going with Magic Secrets, like, I don't like that they got rid of the extra Magic Secrets for Lore Bard.
So here's
kind of like
the
skipping
thing,
ahead a little bit, but then they moved it to fucking 15th level for all bards.
So it's a little complicated. Yes, I'm not. Yeah, so they bumped. So originally, Magical Secrets was 10th level and 14th level. They moved it to 11th and 15th. So they bumped them both by 1. A little annoying, but not the end of the world.
Yeah.
As far as the additional Magical Secrets that Lore Bard used to get, that's at first glance, you're like, what the fuck? The reason for that is because the way Magical Secrets now works, there's no reason to have additional Magical Secrets. You can already get any spell you want with the 2 you get from base Bard.
Yeah.
Because the way it works now is you pick one of the lists, Arcane, Divine, or Primal, and then you get 2 spells from that list. So at 11th level, you can pick Divine, and then at 15th level, you can pick Primal, and you start with Arcane, so you already have all the spells. So another one literally does nothing.
Well, no, it just lets you, because, like, what if there were other spells you wanted to grab from the Divine list?
Right,
or
if
the
you
Primal
wanted
list
to give them even more spells, but I don't think they wanted to go the route of giving bards even more spells, you know what I mean?
Right, or at least, like, the Lore Bard, the Magic Bard. The more magic-y bard.
Right. Well, so yeah, we'll get to Lore Bard in a sec. We're almost there. Don't worry, Matt. 12th is a feat. 14th is a subclass. 16th is a feat. 18th is superior bardic inspiration. I'm really fucking mad. They did not change this at all. They literally did not touch it.
What is their epic?
Why?
Epic thing, Josh. What is it? What does it get for being the highest level of bard of them?
Sorry, I'm wrong. They changed it from 1 point of bardic inspiration to 2 points of bardic inspiration when you roll initiative.
Ooh. One whole extra point, huh?
Oh, also they removed the clause that you don't, because originally the way it worked was when you roll initiative and you have no uses of bardic inspiration, you get 1. Now you just get 2 every time you roll inspiration, which is better.
It's better.
Comma, still boring as shit.
Yeah, insert the meme of like, boo, lame, tomato. Yeah, boring.
Still a boring ass capstone ability, and I've said this many times. Almost every class is a boring ass capstone ability, and I was really hoping that because they were looking at all of the capstone abilities again, and they were like, oh, well, we're going to move them down to 18, that they would also get reworks. Instead, they were just like, nah, they're fine.
It's very weird in this list seeing what they kept the same for certain class, especially like the rogue, because spoilers, the rogue didn't change that much.
The rogue so pretty much just got buffed.
The rogue just got buffed. Seeing it's like, all right, this works. We like this. Well, and it's like, okay. And then going to the superior bardic inspiration, it's like, this is fine. This is absolutely perfect. And it's like, Wizards, what?
Daddy Crawford did mention that part of the reason Rogue is relatively the same is because in the surveys that they put out, everybody said they really loved the Rogue as is, so they didn't want to touch it too much.
Good. Yeah.
So
yeah, no, Isaiah. Definitely. Yeah.
What would you have wanted for a bard capstone?
Oh God, I don't know.
Because for me, I feel like I'm easy to please.
Some sort of big party-wide buff, probably. Some sort of slap my homies on the ass with great gusto. Something like that.
Honestly, I'm boring. I would have just been happy with you can double how many proficiency you get.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's boring.
Even further beyond.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I just think it'd be really sick to be like, oh, we're gonna fight Vecna. It's a good thing I have looks at watch. 10 inspiration dice and or 12 and the GM just shits themselves because you're throwing 12 d12 at people basically whenever.
Yeah, the way that inspiration is now changed to work off proficiency, I guess that would then give you more of your quintessential ability, which would be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what I would have wanted to be, but not that. Not what it is now, that's for sure. And yeah, bring back Song of Rest, man. Song of Rest wasn't even that good. It was just fun. Just a good fun ability. Give me Song of Rest back. What the fuck? I was really sad about that one. That was the one that I think hurt me the most.
Yeah, because especially if you have a lot of groups that are more short rest groups, Bardic Inspiration is such a good boon for them, for the whole party. And now it's just like, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Song of Rest, I get it. It
is very thematic. It is
a little bump in healing, but it's not that crazy a bump.
No, it's not, but it is. I've never heard someone complain about, oh God, I have to take a short rest, and this motherfucker is, Song of Resting me. God, I hate this guy.
Right.
Says no one ever.
God, I hate this fucking asshole for healing me.
Says the warlock, and he's just like, God, just let me die already.
So the Lore Bard was the one we got. Because it's sort of, the default bard. You get the skill proficiencies, although they give you a specific list this time, as opposed to just picking 3, if you already have these proficiencies, you could just choose another one that you lack. So you kind of can still pick whatever you want.
You can. This is the one instance where I don't like them picking for me. I'd rather normal Lore Bard.
Yeah, I did like being able to pick, but there is still a way around it. So
there is, yeah.
Because what you could do is at level 1 with your Bard, just pick Arcana, because Bard the class still gets to pick 3. So just go Arcana, History, Nature, and then when you get your bonus proficiencies from Lore Bard, just pick 3 new ones.
Look DM in the face and say fuck you.
Yeah. And then we got Cutting Words, which is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Cunning Inspiration, which is the new ability we got, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it necessarily screams Lore Bard to me, but it's not bad.
I would rather more spells.
Yeah, okay. So it's when you roll your Bardic Inspiration die, you roll the die twice and you can pick the higher of the 2 rolls. So you get advantage on your Bardic Inspirations, which is cool, but it's kind of weird. And then now with Improved Cutting Words at 10th level, you can deal psychic damage with your Cutting Words, plus your Charisma modifier. So this is a funny thing. So they're moving a lot of stuff to proficiency bonus, but then certain things like this is still based on Charisma modifier.
I think when it comes to damage, because it's all right, this could be a easy flat thing, but then it's
you can make that argument for proficiency.
But then it's wait, but proficiency, yeah, I know. That's the only thing I can think of in my mind, they're thinking, try to put myself in their shoes.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
I don't know.
That's a random one.
Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but.
And then Peerless Skill, which is, I think, identical.
It's It's slightly better.
Yes.
It's slightly better than the old one.
Is it? Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was the same.
If you read the wording, let's see, but before the DM tells you whether it succeeds or fails, now it to add the number to potentially turn into success. If it still fails, the bardic inspiration die isn't expended. That's the new bit. So basically, even if you use this and fail the check, you don't waste the bardic inspiration die.
So yeah, my thing with Lore Bard is I feel like Lore Bard's having a little bit of an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Because Lore Bard was supposed to be the extra magic-y bard, but now that doesn't make as much sense. So they just gave them more stuff with inspiration, which is kind of magic-y. I don't know. Like, Lore Bard's kind of weird. I feel like, I felt like even before cutting words on the Lore Bard felt kind of weird to me in the first place. And Peerless Skill was also kind of weird to me. The bonus proficiencies and the magical secrets made sense. But now we get improved cutting words and the cunning inspiration. And I'm just kind of like, I don't hate these abilities, but is this a Lore Bard? You know? Because like Lore Bard to me should be like, I'm biggest brainus, I'm the smarter bard. This is the shit talking bard. Right? Like,
it should be a little
prototype eloquence bard.
This is the bard that's just like, I can like beat you in a rap battle with like cunning inspiration, you know? Which I don't know if that's really a Lore Bard necessarily. But that's kind of a weird one. I have no further commentary, but it's a weird one.
Yeah.
And then,
no, I agree. Because like, again, like, I guess now they're more so trying to lean into that like knowledgeable, like counter charming.
You're not really that either, though.
I know.
Counter attacking.
You're more skill monkey than bards originally were. Now
a little bit
more. The advantage to inspiration. Cutting the now I can deal psychic damage with my cutting words. Like it's.
Again, it's cool. It's cool. It just feels a little like calling it a Lore Bard is maybe not quite right, but whatever. I guess. Then we move on to our friend the Ranger here.
Oh baby,
shit,
I got shit to say.
Yeah, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say to this boy over here? What are you gonna say to him?
Yeah. Okay.
I heard the council's decision, but given that I think it's a stupid one, I've elected to ignore it. That's kind of how I feel about the New Ranger.
Which is?
Really?
I understand. I get it. I get that favored enemy. I'm sorry, the wilderness one.
You're about to say what I was about to say. Favorite terrain?
Yeah, it's just gone now.
Yeah.
It's just gone. Deft Explorer and that, they're just whole ass not there no more. Why?
Because the same reason Bard doesn't have counter charm anymore.
I get it.
That's why. Because
but why?
Again, because they're doing that thing where they're looking at abilities and they're going, nobody uses this. It's not very useful. We're just going to get rid of it.
I get it, but like knowing your terrain is so integral to a ranger's character.
I know. I agree.
That it seems almost inane to have removed it.
Yeah. It's really weird.
I don't get it.
Yeah, favorite foe or favorite enemy and favorite terrain being gone is it's a throwing the baby out with the bathwater situation.
Did you see what else disappeared?
What?
Primeval awareness? The ranger radar is just gone.
That one I'm less annoyed by, but still a little annoyed about. Like that one doesn't bother me quite as much, but yeah.
Well, that one was weird because it had such a simple fix. Just make it better than what's the fucking paladin's ability? God
Divine
damn it.
Sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it was already better than Divine Sense.
Sort of. I believe Divine Sense could tell you they could tell you numbers.
No.
Could it not?
No.
No, yeah.
Also,
you know the location of any undead.
Yeah, unless they're behind a 2-foot slab of wall.
Yeah, well, that was the same thing with Ranger, I believe.
No, Rangers was better. That's the thing. Primeval awareness was actually like kind of useful because you can go out to a mile and you can like sense the creatures regardless of where they're at. Up to 6 miles in your favorite terrain. This doesn't reveal the creature's location or number.
Okay, well, yeah, all right, so that's kind of the problem. You know that they're in a direction. That doesn't really tell you anything. Whereas
it doesn't tell you a ton, but yeah.
Yeah, so I would still say Divine Sense is better. And the simple answer is,
well, no, because Divine Sense gets blocked by a window.
Sure, again, but assuming that the window's not there, like if you're outside, you know exact numbers, you know exact locations.
But if you're outside, you can just see them because Divine Sense doesn't go very far.
Not necessarily.
Look, Isaiah, I've ranted about Divine Sense before. It's fucking ass. I don't know why you're defending this.
Because I do. I think it's better than Primeval Awareness. Okay, assuming we're outside and there's zombies everywhere, I want to know that there's 50 zombies within a 50-meter radius of me.
But you could just look around and see them because Divine Sense doesn't go that far.
So, well, no, you can't if your vision's obscured in a way that's not total cover.
Then Divine Sense doesn't work. That's the problem.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Okay, if someone casts darkness on you and you're fucking blind, you can still use Divine Sense to tell you exactly where your enemies are.
It only goes out that type to 60 feet, and it's only if they're not behind total cover.
Yes.
If something is 60 feet away from you and not behind total cover, you could just see them.
Not if you are blinded.
That is such a niche scenario.
No, not really. Assuming you're playing a human and it's nighttime and you're blind out to 20 feet, no, that's pretty useful.
I've never seen anyone use this ability in any useful way.
I don't know what to say about that, but
because every time the paladin goes to use Divine Sense, so the GM goes, you don't sense anything, and then 5 minutes later they run into the zombies, and the paladin's like, why didn't I sense the zombies? Oh, because they were behind a door. That's always how it goes.
I've literally I don't think I've ever had a situation where that happened.
I mean, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but like that's what ends up happening is like you don't sense the zombies or whatever because they're behind a fucking door or they're in a building or they're behind a window, like because it's blocked by total cover. Whereas Primeval Awareness isn't.
Based on the amount of times that I've run games or I've been in games, I think most people just ignore the total cover thing. It's like, oh, there's just a bunch of them around you.
Okay, that's fine. You can ignore the rule all you want. That doesn't suddenly rules as written, which is what we're talking about. It does not do that. So, okay. And Primeval Awareness does ignore cover. Primeval Awareness
but it doesn't tell. All right. I would rather have more specific information with caveats than almost no information and a direction.
I understand. They're both. Let me get to the good counter argument, Isaiah. They're both shit abilities.
They are both shit abilities, and balls. Again, sure, but the point is, it wouldn't be hard to fix it.
No, it wouldn't. And I agree that they shouldn't have gotten rid of it. But
just give me exact numbers and locations. It's not hard.
I mean, sure. Whatever. I think, again, that one I think is way less egregious than favorite enemy and favorite terrain. Those are the two that I think are particular. Because, like...
Well, we still have favorite enemy. We do have that.
No, well, we do, but it doesn't work anything the way it used to, because favorite enemy used to be you pick a specific enemy type and then you get bonuses based on that enemy type. Favorite enemy now is you get the Hunter's Mark spell for free.
Yeah, I mean,
without
so it's basically favorite foe.
It's favorite, yes, it's the favorite foe ability. Better. Yeah, but it's not favorite enemy. Yeah. And part of the fun of a ranger, for me, is I have a special terrain that I'm good in, and I have a special enemy I'm really good at fighting. Granted, the way the game is right now, those bonuses kind of suck, so you don't really have a special foe or a special terrain. Like, you do, but they don't do much. So,
right, like, you have to pick the campaign where it's like, all right, guys, we're going to play Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Well, shit, I picked the Arctic as my favorite terrain.
Well, even if you pick a terrain that's going to come up, right? Like, even if you're doing 100% Lord of the Rings, like, travel campaign, and you're always in the woods, favorite terrains are still not very good. Like, it doesn't give you a lot. It's like an it's like, oh, you can move at normal speed and you get, like, advantage on fucking tracking checks. You know, like, it doesn't do that much. I want favorite terrain and favorite enemy, A, to not be gone, and B, I think the ranger, when they're in their favorite terrain or fighting their favorite enemy, should be a fucking god, right? Like, one of the best what you do with ranger, right, is ranger on baseline, not that good. Ranger fighting their favorite enemy, unstoppable killing machine. That's how I think Ranger should work. And it's never been how Ranger should work. And I was really hoping they would revisit that concept, and they did not. So I am sad. But they get expertise now.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I do like that they get expertise. And I do like the Hunter's Mark spell being no concentration and you just get it. I do like that.
That is, I'll give you that. That is cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. It's 2 steps forward. Don't make it a spell.
I think they changed hide in plain sight to nature's veil, right? If I'm
They
correct?
did, yeah. So you can't do hide in plain sight anymore, which is another one that I was a little sad about losing.
Oh, I thought they just shifted they just changed the name.
No, so hide in plain sight was like you could cover yourself in dirt and leaves and mud and shit like Rambo and hide. Nature's veil is you could cast invisibility.
Oh, you have
on
to
yourself.
burn a spell slot? What the fuck?
Yeah. So, yeah, so they lost. Abilities the Ranger lost was hide in plain sight, land stride, and vanish. So,
nah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this for Bard. Don't make my class abilities burn my resource. Just give them to me.
Depends on the ability. I don't think you could say that blanket statement.
Fair enough. Fine. For what we've seen with this so far, does not bode well for me.
Well, the thing about
I keep
that,
saying that like I hate this. I don't. I like a lot of them, but I'm just baffled at some of these decisions.
well, the thing about the Nature's Veil situation is it's infinite invisibility. No, never mind. No, it's not. Sorry. I was thinking of something else. No, it's not. Never mind. Ignore everything I just
To the
said.
end of your next turn.
Sorry, I was thinking
That's not fucking worth it. I'd rather just take the invisibility spell.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can by default, but yeah. Yeah, so the abilities they lost was Land Stride, which makes it so that you ignore difficult terrain. And you could also pass through like non-magical plants without them hurting you and shit. Hide in plain sight, which is like cover yourself in mud and dirt and shit, and you get like a bonus to stealth checks. And then vanish, which is you can use the hide action as a bonus action. You also can't be tracked by non-magical means. They lost all 3 of those. Now, granted, they are getting subclass features in place of... So at 14th level, they're getting vanish. Or at 14th level, they're getting a subclass feature instead of vanish. So, you know, there's a little push and pull there. The other 2 just kind of went away. Tireless is cool. I like Tireless a lot. That feels like a good Ranger spicy, like... That feels like Rangery to me, which is like... you could give yourself 10 hit points, and if you're exhausted, you could get it back on a short rest. Because, you know, you're fucking trudging through the mountains. So, I like that one.
Yeah, I think that's the same as it was in Tasha's. A little bit.
I don't think so.
As an action, you give yourself temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus wisdom.
Oh, I guess it
and
is.
you can, when you finish a short rest, you can remove a level of exhaustion.
Oh, okay, so they just applied that one as like a base thing.
Same thing with Nature's Veil is also from Tasha's.
Okay.
So a lot of these are switching up things from either Tasha's Ranger abilities or the revised Ranger, if anybody fucking remembers that shit.
They gave them roving from Tasha's by default too.
Yeah. So a lot of these are just like, just slap the Tasha's features. Because most of the people I talk to that play Rangers are either switching over to the new features or just picking the new features because they're way better.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Is like, so roving and tireless are what you chose instead of natural explorer, which is what you got your favorite terrain from. And then favored foe is what you chose instead of favorite enemy. So now they've just made those 2 things default, which is why favored terrain and favored foe went away. Or favorite enemy went away. Which, yeah, a little rough.
Yeah.
Also, side note, I didn't realize Rangers didn't start with spellcasting at level 1.
No, not originally.
It's so fucking random.
Because there's, it's like, all right, you get your spells at 2nd level and then 3rd level your subclass. So
But
it's like,
why?
our
Why
first
not?
level, let's just make it easier.
Yeah, just give it to them at first level. It's dumb. Also, they do get cantrips now, though, which is kind of cool.
That I like. That I like.
Oh, also, did you notice you can change out cantrips?
I did, yes.
Yeah, cantrips are now prepared spells.
Yeah, cantrips are prepared spells, which is a cool one.
That's one of the things I really did like. It just like, because it's one of the, that always kind of confused me, right? Because cantrips are described as like
Basic
little tricks, right? Like little like things that like little parlor abilities.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird that you're like, well, I know these little things and I am incapable of figuring the rest out.
Yeah, right. The other ones, I don't know, fuck them.
It's like a prestidigitation. Oh, shit. I mean, you know how complicated that cantrip is? Shit, bro. I don't know.
That's too hard. Fuck that noise. Yeah, Ranger. Whew, mixed bag. Fighting style, you still get at level 2, which is, okay, sure, yep. You get roving at 7th level. You got it at 6 before, so again, a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. It's a little better and easier than Landstrider.
It's
fighting.
No, I'm saying roving. Roving is also a Tasha's thing, but you got it at 6th level in Tasha's. Here you get it at 7th. But that's because you get a subclass feature at 6th, which I think is a change. Yeah, that's a change. So, okay. Feet, and then you get it. Oh yeah, Ranger also gets expertise twice, which is, all right, cool. Yeah. Tireless, Nature's Veil, yeah. Does suck that Nature's Veil uses a spell slot. I feel like, I don't know. If it's going to use a spell slot, the invisibility should last longer.
Yeah, it should be, I hate to say worth it, but like,
it should be worth it, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Feral Senses, I think just got a straight up buff, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I believe it went from 10 feet to 30 feet.
Yeah, so that's cool. Like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's way easier to manage, and than the old version, the wording is way better here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, actually.
Huh?
Oh, no, yeah, no, hold on. So I double checked, yeah. Because it basically gives you blindside anyway, so the fact that it just says it gives you blindside, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, the old ability was there was more stipulations on it. Now it's like you just get blindside. It's just a straight better. And then Foe Slayer.
Oh shit! Here he is, bar the 18th level ability, the magnum opus of Rangers.
Yeah.
What do they get, Josh? What do they get, buddy?
Extra damage. Extra damage.
Ooh, tomato.
They get extra damage, which is basically what they got before. But now it's more extra damage because now it's a D10, whereas before it was your Wisdom modifier.
I mean that is I think that's fair.
The problem though
is,
as
much as I'm not happy about it, it's like, oh, just straight up more damage. I think for the Ranger it makes sense.
I guess the problem here is your Hunter's Mark now deals an extra 1d10 damage rather than an extra 1d6. So it's not your personal damage, it's damage from Hunter's Mark. Now granted, you always have Hunter's Mark now, so you're gonna have it. It's not useless, but it is worth pointing out. The other thing that's really weird is it goes from a D6 to a D10 at 18th level. There's no in-between one. There's no D8. I feel like at some point in time it should have upgraded to a D8 at 10th level or something like that. Mm-hmm. That was kind of weird, I thought. But
I think that's what Colossus Slayer is. Or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you get a subclass feature, but
yeah,
I don't know. At some point in time, I feel like Foe Slayer, there should be a mini version of Foe Slayer along the way to go from a D6 to a D8, then a D8 to a D10. It's kind of weird that it jumps at 18th level.
Yeah, now it's called Hunter's Prey,
now
not Colossus Slayer.
Yeah, it is the same ability though.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so the Hunter now has Hunter's Prey. You don't get the choices anymore. At 6th level, I will say this, Hunter's Lore is really cool. So when you mark a creature with your Hunter's Mark, you know whether that creature has any immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities.
That's sick.
That's cool that you get to know that information.
Yeah. Also, fuck you, Monster Hunter Slayer.
I feel like that should be that should be a secondary 3rd level ability, and they should give you something else at 6th level, because the Bard and the Rogue both get 2 abilities at 3rd level, and the Ranger only gets 1. Which is kind of random. And Hunter's Lore is not that strong that it really justifies being a 6th level ability, I feel like. So I feel like they should give him something else there. And then we have this weird thing with multi-attack, which is a horrible name. I don't know why they called it multi-attack, because what it does is it makes it so you'll always have Conjure Barrage prepared. Which is not a multi-attack, really.
I kind of wish they had just named it Barrage.
Barrage? Or Conjure Barrage.
You have Barrage active all the time. You're like, oh, yeah, that was pretty clear.
Yeah. I will say, so one that's a little interesting with this is they introduced the concept of downcasting with this ability. So you can actually cast it with a 1st and 2nd level spell slot, even though it's a 3rd level spell.
Didn't they do that with all the spells they were saying?
No.
Now you can down...
No. So I thought that was the thing they were doing. They're not doing it with all the spells. It's only with this one ability for now.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of happy about that. I already have like new players and people who are confused about upcasting. So God forbid downcasting is just gonna add
downcasting is gonna be a nightmare.
Where it's
They're
like
basically saying,
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea,
yeah.
but
Or if you're gonna downcast, then like, all right, I cast Fireball. Fireball is at 3rd level, so I have to waste either 3 first level spell slots or 1 first level and a 2nd level. Not let me burn a 2nd level spell and then I lose 1 damage die. I don't know. It's weird.
yeah, I don't know. I think this idea needs some time in the oven. There's potential, but we'll kind of see. And then you get Superior's Hunter's Defense at level 14, which is fine, I guess.
It's very. I don't know. I like. It's a very cool defensive move.
Yes,
Offensive, defensive move. Yeah,
it's fine. I don't know.
Also makes sense for a ranger. Like,
but yeah, it does kind of, it's like, I get what they're doing, right? They're picking, like I said before, they're picking the best abilities from the various levels of Hunter Ranger. But it does suck that you just like lose out on those other ones. So I kind of hope if they're not going to give them to Hunter Ranger, I hope they put them somewhere else, Like I hope those other abilities aren't just completely gone.
Yeah, the one that really sucks shit out of my ass is that I liked Whirlwind Attack way better than Volley.
Right, and now you basically got Volley.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, here's the one that you don't like. It's like, oh, great.
Right.
Because I don't know, I like having infinite attacks of opportunity. Yeah, I don't know. You're not really attacks of opportunity. You burn your reaction in tandem with your action, and you just become a literal like fucking ball of razor blades against anything that's around you. It's basically just it's better sword burst, the spell. And my biggest problem with sword burst is you can't choose who to hit. So I would just prefer this. That lets me choose who I want to hit.
Yeah, it's whirlwind attack. You can use your action to make a melee attack against any number of creatures within 5 feet of you with a separate attack roll for each.
That's fucking cool.
That is a cool ability. I do like that one more. Yeah, that's the thing that sucks, right? When you focus in on like, all right, we're only gonna give you the really good ones. It's like some people might have liked the other ones.
Especially because Superior Hunter's Defense gives you fucking evasion.
Yeah.
Like, why would I turn that one down? Like, I mean, I turned it down specifically with Roark because I wanted to not take evasion. But like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't. You still with this one, with the new Superior's Hunter Defense, you basically do have evasion.
Well, you have Uncanny Dodge.
Uncanny Dodge.
Like,
so, yeah.
Okay, that's so weird for me, right? Because they merged Stand Against the Tide and Uncanny Dodge together, and they removed evasion. So I would say, just merge those two and let me pick evasion as a potential. Like, they're both really good, and I can't imagine a lot of people aren't taking evasion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does feel like a baby out with the bathwater scenario.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not crazy about it. I mean, there's parts of the Ranger that I'm like, that's cool, and then there's other parts where I'm like, maybe not, sir, maybe not. So, Ranger.
I think I'm the only one that's like actually generally happy about all the Ranger changes.
No, for Hunter specifically, I can't stand them.
Ranger, I'm pretty middle of the road on it.
Yeah.
For Ranger in general, I'm in middle of the road, leaning towards really liking it. But Hunter, I'm gonna be real. I'd probably just ask any GM to let me use the old Hunter.
I mean, they do tell you at the top of the playtest how you can use old subclasses with the new class. So that's an option. And then lastly, we have our friend Rogue.
Oh yeah, everybody's favorite.
Who I feel like, probably gonna go through pretty quick, because it's mostly the same.
It's the best.
Not most. So the main big thing was sneak attack. You can't sneak attack you can only sneak attack on your turn
when you may use the attack action.
The attack action. This is a bit of a nerf, but it feels like a pretty small one. And again, I don't know if this is true, but this does feel like another ability or another situation where an ability worked one way because the wording was a little off. Because I feel like they didn't want you to use sneak attack on like attack of opportunities. And then they just were kind of like, oh, we fucked up the wording. And then they just kind of rolled with it. So I feel like this is their chance to be like, this is actually how we wanted it to be. I don't know that for a fact, but it kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, sneaking attack not on your turn. I'll take it or leave it. If you can't, whatever, I'll survive. If you can, okay, cool. I'm not like deeply connected to that one. I don't know. I know.
Yeah, I'm pretty Lando Calrissian on this one. Like,
which is meaning
I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I accept it.
Okay, fair enough. Thieves Cant gives you an extra language now, which is like, all right, cool. Yep, sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that Thieves Cant's not. Well, actually, wait, is it still a language or no? It's just.
Yeah, it's still a language.
Still its own language?
Yeah.
Not like you just pick a new language?
No, it's still you know Thieves Cant and one other language of your choice.
Oh, one other. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I mixed that up.
Okay, so you get both. Cunning actions identical. I don't think anything changed there.
I was gonna say, I think the only thing besides like placement for the rogue that moved and changed, everything's basically the same.
Yeah, rogue is very similar.
Like reliable talent's still the same,
Reliable
going down to
talent,
11th. I think the one thing, the subtle strike.
Yeah,
that's
the subtle
new
strike's their new
thing.
ability, which basically just gives them pack tactics, which is like cool.
That's
I
very
like
good.
that.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I'm into that. Also, Slippery Mind got a buff. It's proficiency in wisdom and charisma saves now.
That's sick.
Good with that
Wait,
one.
Yeah, that one. Because like, I don't remember if it was on the rogue episode where we were like, someone was like, why did they get wisdom saves? That feels so random.
That was me.
Yeah. But like, I like, again, I was like, I like it. It makes sense for the rogue. Like, eventually, you're kind of wise in Indiana Jones, and now it's like and charisma saves on top of that.
I mean, it's still not the most exciting ability in the world, but whatever.
Right.
They
But
did
it's
lose
the
blind
buff.
sense.
Yeah, that one's a weird thing, and now
A little sad about that.
yeah, is elusive. Yeah, elusive's basically the
Elusive's the
same.
same.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, elusive
Like-
is And then Stroke of Luck, which we talked about, is one of the few capstone abilities that I'm like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And it's the same.
Basically,
So that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to turn down an auto crit.
Yeah.
And then,
And then now-
I am a little sad about them moving blind sense, but like, I'll survive.
Yeah.
And then the
thiefy
subclass,
boy.
the thief,
Yeah.
is where
this
the
guy-
cool shit. That's where the cool shit came in.
Yeah, I played the thief. It was my first character, and I really do like these changes
Yeah.
that they added
So
in here.
we got fast hands, which lets you do the search action as a bonus action, which is one of those new actions, which is pretty cool because the search action seems like it'll be pretty useful. And you could do sleight of hand shit as a bonus action, which is like, yep, sure, fine.
I think that was like that before too.
Yes.
You can sleight,
the sleight of hand part, yes. The search part,
the sleight of
is
hand
new.
part, yeah.
And then we got second story work, which is pretty much the same dealio. You get a climb
It's
speed,
so much easier now. Yeah.
and when you may take the jump action, you make a dex check instead of a strength check. Yep,
Mhm.
sure, okay, cool. That is the jump action is a new thing that we can, we'll get into next time.
Mhm.
Supreme Sneak, I think, is exactly the same.
It's a little
Or
better.
is it a little
than
better
normal.
now? Oh no, it's a little better. Yeah, because if you're not,
It's a
you
little
just get
better.
it all the time. Yeah. That's cool.
It's also a level 6 ability rather than level 9.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So you got moved way earlier.
Which is good. That's a good one. I like that.
Mhm.
And then use magic device is just wildin' now.
Yeah, it is.
So
Extra attunement is awesome.
yeah, you
That's
get four.
so good.
You get 4 magic items, and then when you use a magic item that expends charges, roll a d6. If you roll a 6, you can use the magic item without expending any charges. That's pretty sick.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then when you can use any spell scroll that bears a cantrip or a first level spell, you can also try to use any scrolls that contain a higher level spell, but you must succeed on an intelligence arcana check with a DC equal to 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, you cast the spell from the scroll and you use your intelligence ability. On a failed check, the scroll disintegrates. So that's a pretty good one.
That's great.
It's good, and
because you can keep reusing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it does something that I like. They changed this one massively, and I like this change a lot because my biggest gripe with the old use magical device was the ignore all class, race, and level requirements on magic items. To me, the fiction of a fucking thief rogue picking up a holy avenger and just being like, yeah, this is mine now. It's like that just doesn't compute in my head, you know?
I do wish they had something goofy, where not the class one, but maybe the race restrict, because there are very limited race restricted items like dwarven throwers and shit.
The idea of that ability is that, you know, the thief is like a learned individual, so they can like teach themselves how to use, you know, the idea is you're crafty, so you can teach yourself and or learn how to use something that you shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
So it is a little wonky to just say, oh, you could just use everything. So I think a better compromise would be you can, you know, if you pick up a magic item for which you do not meet the requirements, you can like spend time to teach yourself how to use it or something like that. I would like that, because I do like the fiction of like, I'm such a big brain thief of I've seen and or stolen so many weird things that I can figure out magic items like on the fly.
Nah, to me, that's more of like an artificer thing. It's like, I know magic, I understand magic, I work with it every day.
Right.
Like,
well,
if an artificer treats magic like Guilty Gear, where it's all just computer code, it makes more sense to like, no, I understand the code, I can rewrite it.
Right, but the thing about the fiction that this is pulling from is that in a lot of thief style stories, the burglar in question does the Indiana Jones thing where he robs some weird item and he doesn't actually know what it is, and then he quickly figures out what it is and then realizes, ooh, I've got something really good on my hands, right? Like, that's the fiction it's pulling from. It's like,
yes, but
if you think about it in a modern context, it's like, oh, I stole this weird computer device that I don't know how to use. I'm gonna fuck with it for a couple of nights after I stole it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, now I know how to use this, and this is super valuable. You know, like, that's what it's pulling from.
I understand. This is the
this is also because this is how rogues, or this is what thieves used to do in older editions.
Yes, I get. To me, that fiction doesn't. The two fictions do not compute in my head. I don't like.
I mean,
I've had it explained to me. It is, but like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I've tried. I've had several people explain it to me, and I just, every time they do, I'm like, but that's dumb. I don't.
Well, it's the idea of a person who's like really what's the word? Who's like really intuitive and can learn shit
clever.
quickly. They're really clever, so they just learn shit fast.
I understand, but like, if you have something like the Holy Avenger, and it's like, yes, this is like the Holy Avenger of Lathander, only a great paladin can use it, and a thief's like, nah, fuck that, I do what I want. I mean, it's like, no, fuck you.
I mean, here's the thing.
No, because it's the zombie horde is coming up. They're like, all right, thief, hurry, activate the sword. He's fucking around with it, trying to activate it, trying to figure out, oh God, all right, do I turn this gear to the left to turn the energy blade feature on? Oh God. And then as soon as the zombie gets up to him, he accidentally turns it on. The energy blade comes down. And he's like, oh, that's how it works. And then he gets it.
But again, so this is the idea of like Loki just being able to figure Mjolnir out, even though like it's not. Okay, it's not a matter of, oh, I figured it out. It's like, I'm being chosen for a purpose.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. Look, Isaiah, I get what you're saying. The disconnect here is that for an item like a Holy Avenger, yes, it feels goofy to say, oh, the thief just gets to ignore the divine chosen power. Where it starts to make more sense is when you look at other magical items that are like the Holy Avenger is the most extreme example. But if you look at shit like the all-purpose tool or the dwarven thrower, right? Like, magic items that have a little bit more of a mechanical component to them where you could potentially fuck around with them enough to figure out how they work, that's where it makes more sense, and that's where it's pulling from.
Can you though? Like a superior silver blade is like, you need to be a psionic to use this weapon because it's like a lightsaber.
Look, the problem is you could do this endlessly because magic items aren't real. Right? I'm telling
yes, I understand.
My point is
but
my point is that for certain types of magic items, the idea is you could figure it out. And it doesn't work for all magic items, but it works for some magic items. But then if you want to start getting into the weeds, this could be like, well, does it make sense for this or that, blah, blah, blah. But magic items aren't real, so we can't do that. So rather than get into the weeds, they just say the thief can use these items. I get why you have an issue with it, but you can't discount the fact that like there is kind of a history to it. There is like a sort of fantasy lore element to it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, tons of old books, novels, like all the old mummy, the mummy movies, the mummy books. It's a trope. Yeah, it's a thing that's been in media and fantasy for way beyond our time.
Also, there's a lot of scenarios where that trope happens, where the thief in question figures it out by accident. That's another thing. You know, because they're just like playing with it. My example, yeah.
So that ends up being most of the time.
Yeah, so it's accident. Like it has, you know. There's a legacy to it. It's not out of nowhere. I get that you don't like it. I'm just saying there is like a story behind it. And it is worth pointing out, it made a little bit more sense in older editions because the magical item restrictions were more of a thing. So it feels a little wonky in 5e. But
and the dwarf and elf were a class instead of a race for some fucking reason.
That being said, I think I like the charges one.
That's cool.
I think that reinforces that idea of that fiction pretty well, actually, of like, oh, I'm so good at using the magical device, I can know how to use it without like burning it out. So that's kind of a cool one. And, you know, so, you know, I think it's a reasonable compromise that they've come up with here. I do love the idea of the thief with the Holy Avenger, but, you know, I'll accept this version. Also, this version's probably going to get, you know, the charges and the scroll abilities are probably going to get used more.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got Thief Reflexes, which is so kind of a weird one.
I was going to ask you guys, comparing it to the older version, what do you like more? Because
I think I like this version more.
Because I'm bouncing back and forth because the older version was you get 2 turns. This one is you get 2 bonus actions, and one of them has to be a cunning action, which you were going to probably use anyways.
Here's the problem. Action. Here's the thing about the old version. You only got the old version once. Because it was only the first round of any combat.
Right.
So the old version you only got once per combat. This version you can use quite a few times.
Yeah, equal to your proficiency bonus, which at 14th level, that is 5.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
5, yeah.
Yeah. So I like this version better simply because you get to use it more.
Yeah.
And you get it sooner. So, yeah. And now that with the changes to the light weapon rules in this playtest document, which obviously we're not getting to today because we're already over time, it opens up even more options because now you can like 2-weapon fight and you have a free bonus action, and now you're a thief with a second bonus action. So like there's some cool combos you can pull there. So I think this version's better. Personally.
Yeah.
Why, Matt? Do you feel no?
No. I was bouncing back and forth between it, but I forgot about that feature in the old version that you only used it the first turn of combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
That's a pretty strong limiter.
Yeah, it is.
All right. We have gotten to the end of the classes.
We did it.
So we are most certainly not doing feats right now.
We could.
Sorry. I gotta go bed. Any major closing thoughts? Also, remember, kids, do the survey.
Yeah, do the survey.
Wizards, moving in a right direction, but still need a whole lot of revisions, I feel.
I mean, you'll never be 100% happy with everything they do, right? So, you know.
No, I just, based on how things have been recently, with stuff they've been putting out, this is a fucking landmark improvement.
Yeah, it's definitely better than a certain Spelljammer.
Yeah, but there are some things where it's like, maybe go back to the drawing board on this one.
Yeah, and I mean,
Like,
again, as we said, it's
Don't just
playtest.
remove things.
Right, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And like we said, it's playtest material, so they probably will. You know, good chance that they will, you know, go back to stuff and be like, all right, let's take a look at, let's take a look at this. So I'm definitely going to leave a strongly worded email about the Ranger. Personally.
Yeah.
Because that definitely is the one that I feel like I had the most feelings about. Matt? Any strong feelings?
No, I mean, honestly, I like most of, like, the class stuff wasn't the stuff I had the issue with. It was everything else that we'll probably get to in part 2.
So in part 2, Matt's going to tell everyone to fuck off.
Yeah, basically. Like, I enjoy most of the bard changes. There's a couple head scratchers. Ranger, I kind of disagree with both of you guys. I actually really like most of the changes with Ranger.
Let it be known that sessions canceled. Matt's opinions are his own, and we do not agree with
My
this
opinions
tomfoolery.
are facts. I say it here all the time. And,
well, actually, so I'm kind of curious. Why? So you're happy that they just wholesale removed some things?
Yeah, because it's one of those things where, like, am I happy about it? No, but it's not gonna affect my game. Like, I like running D&D. It's not gonna affect my games because most of the time, if I play with a ranger, and most of the people I talk to that play rangers, they don't take favorite terrain anymore. They don't care about it because the new Tasha stuff is so much significantly better. That's why it's literally the whole bear totem burying, like that. It's literally like, do I want to pick the thing that makes me jump better, or do I want to pick the thing that gives me all resistance to everything? Like, it's one of those things where unfortunately one of these things is not like the other, and it's like way better.
Is just way better than the other.
Way better. Yeah.
Well, which I understand, but you didn't think like this would have been the prime opportunity to make them more relevant?
Yeah.
I mean, they could have, but obviously they chose not to. So it's one of those things where I'm not going to like, all right, I guess they don't care about it, so why should I care about it? Yeah,
my thing was that this was a prime opportunity to super buff those two abilities, and it kind of sucks that they chose not to.
And if anything, maybe in this survey, if enough people complain about it and be like, no, put back favorite terrain. I don't actually think it's called favorite terrain. I think I'm like fucking up the name of it.
So the ability is called natural
favorite enemy.
No.
Or natural explorer and favorite enemy.
So natural explorer is the terrain one. It gives you a favorite terrain. Favorite enemy is the enemy one.
Right. Rather than just giving you the Tasha stuff, which again, everyone's taking now because it's very good.
Right. Well, but the thing
I would have liked them to go back and fix it, but if not, unless people say it in the survey and then we get a new UA with new versions, then I'll have then I'll talk about it. But otherwise, it's like
the problem is that the reason everyone picks the Tasha's one is because the old favorite enemy and favorite terrain are just bad. Whereas if they buff the old favorite enemy and favorite terrain, people might not pick the Tasha's ones. That's the problem, right? You're comparing something really good and new and fresh to something kind of jank and old. That's the problem.
And it's weird because after, I don't know if anybody ever used like the revised Ranger stuff.
No.
A lot of that was really strong. It actually made Ranger fucking strong, especially the Beast companion. But I guess Wizards heard the feedback and they're like, so we're just gonna pretend that the revised Ranger doesn't exist. And it's like, no. It's like don't do the thing like they did with Scions. It's like they released Scions, people bitched about it, and then they're like, all right, so we're gonna pretend Scions don't exist, but then we're gonna make Scion subclasses. And it's like, no, it's like look at the thing you made. At least say that like, hey, we did this. Like, come on, don't try and hide it.
It's really funny, right? Because to this day, I still see and hear people asking DMs to be like, can I use Revised Ranger? Like, it's still a pretty prominent thing because it was really good. And it's strong. Like, for the first time in a long time, Ranger felt satisfying, not just like, oh, this is better than it used to be.
In the Storm King's Thunder, that's what our Ranger was. She was a Revised Ranger, and she's literally the fucking like monster slayer, perfect hunter. Like literally, it's like, oh, a giant. Hold on, pulls out bow, creates fucking like crater in the ground. All right, guys, I killed the giant. And it's like, holy nuts, what the fuck? Like, a Revised Ranger is very good, and I'm surprised they didn't take any of that and kind of throw it in here or like update it.
Yeah, it does seem like they kind of ignored it.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird.
But yeah, I don't know. Again, I would like them to rework the stuff, but if they didn't put it in here, then I'm just going to assume it's gone now. And it's, I don't want to sound like downer, but it's like,
listen here, Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie Downer with some of the stuff, but like Wizards of the Coast has made it perfectly clear with certain things they want to add to the game and do and not do. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, whatever. They're going to release editions. They're going to do whatever they do to the game. And at the end of the day, like I can take that and I can put it into my game and run my games the way they are and have fun with my friends, and, it'll be okay. At the end of the day, it's going to be okay because, this is my version of D&D, what I do at my game table.
Matt, why'd you get
if I don't like something
there?
No, I'm just, because I'm trying to spin this more into a positive thing, because it's like, you don't have to let Wizard of the Coast or, your friends or like someone like tell you how to play D&D or how to do D&D. It's like, just, as long as you're having fun at the game table with your friends, fuck him. Fuck what others say.
But what does that have to do with things being removed? That's what I'm saying. Like, if they remove
He's saying
a feature,
you could just play the old Ranger or whatever.
Yeah, you could just play the old version. It's not going anywhere. People still play fucking first edition somehow.
True.
Like, I know I talk to people that play second edition still. Like, it's, it's nuts. But there are some people who they like those editions, and they're going to say, and I guarantee you, I will bet money that when one D&D's Nuts comes out, like, there's going to be that split. I know they're really trying hard and be like, oh, it's not a new edition. It's going to happen. The split is going to happen, and you're going to have people who are like, nope, I'm a 5e Gen 1er. Fuck this nonsense.
Oh,
and then you have people being like,
I can't wait
fuck
for
you
that.
people. I'm tired of, I don't want to. Fuck you. You can stay in your 5e lane. I hate you. And you're going to have that. And you know what? Whatever. That's my TED talk. Bring back favorite terrain. I don't know.
I can't wait for the 5e
just don't forget.
Gen 1ers. That'll be a good time.
Yeah, right. And just don't forget, guys. In Night City, you can become.
all right, Choom, relax.
Anyway,
you can't hit us with all that shit and then be like, you can come.
all right, if you would like, subscribe to us on YouTube and give us a like. And also, if you would be so inclined, follow us on your podcast platform of choice. And if you would like to see the funny haha tweets and get updates when things go live, follow us on Twitter. I'm going to pretend like Matt didn't just take a 180 heel turn there. Bye-bye.
Time to jack in to jack off.